Welcome to Pack Talk Podcast, episode 92, where today we're going through a special topic because it's Halloween season, 2023 Halloween season. Mm-hmm. So today we're talking about Paranormal Legends of South Carolina.
I just want to say that today is October 13th. Friday.
Is it really?
Friday the 13th.
Oh my gosh, I didn't realize
and
that.
And we're doing ghost stories on Friday the 13th.
Oh my gosh.
So it is on par.
Mm-hmm. Didn't realize that.
It is on cue.
And this is Erin's second episode on the podcast. She was just on episode 91 telling her story. She's back, episode 92, special guest.
She couldn't resist the mic.
Couldn't resist the mic. Now she's got that mic fever. Mm-hmm. She's like, I need to talk. Mm-hmm. I need to talk on the podcast.
I just feel like you needed my reactions to these stories.
Also, Ben and Erin are fans of Ghost Adventures television show.
Oh, yeah.
That's on HBO.
Or Discovery.
So, Discovery, or Travel Channel.
Come on now.
A variety of channels. Yeah. So if you know Ghost Adventures, you know that's what Ben and Erin are talking about when they're supposed to be working. Oh. They're over here talking about
just
Ghost
us,
Adventures.
Definitely.
But anyway, so today we're going to be talking about Paranormal Legends of South Carolina. Erin does not have the read ahead, so we're getting her raw reaction. Mm-hmm. Ben has the read ahead. Also, I have issued everyone at the table the new Jocko Go flavor, which is the blue raspberry to try out. The new flavor. So if you want to try that flavor, go to jockofuel.com. Use promo code SINGER101 at checkout for 10% off. Grab you a case. And my wife, Lauren, she's a big pink lemonade fan. That's the only one she drinks. I was like, hey, try this. Gave it to her. She's like, boom, second best flavor. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that means it's legit.
Mm-hmm. This is number one best flavor.
Number one for
opinion.
you? Number one? Blue Raz? It's good.
Climb
it's
to the top.
Freaking good. All right, so before we jump into some of these legends, I just want to give some credit to Palmetto State Paranormal. Mm-hmm. It is a social media page. Mm-hmm. It is some paranormal investigators. They collect stories. They post them. So I've used a bunch of their material in my research for all of these legends. So shout out to them. And one thing I do want to note, as with all paranormal legendary locations, whether you believe in the paranormal or not, please remember to be respectful if you go out to these historic locations. Do not be disrespectful. Okay?
Yep.
So before we go into the legends, I just want to go through 3 stories that I have personal experience paranormal.
Here we go. Shoot.
Whether you've heard them or not.
Buckle up.
All right. So the first one is actually, I haven't experienced it, but I've trained a dog for like one of the oldest houses in downtown Charleston, right on King Street, right next to the Battery. So I trained a dog for him. And during one of our follow-up sessions, I'm like, hey, is there any activity in the house? And once I asked that question, boom, opened a can of worms. Yeah. And so it turns out the daughter, she's like, I want to say 16 or 18 right now, won't even stay in the house. She goes and stays at other people's houses. She won't sleep there.
Oh, man, that's me.
Yeah. And then a lot of times the mom, she won't stay there either. She's going to stay at her other family member's house. But this house has been passed on in the family for so long. It's their family's house. They've had it, their ancestors have had it. Right, generational house. But the boyfriend of the mother, he'll stay there. And so they all gave me different accounts of different things. So one of the things that happened was the boyfriend was there by himself. He was taking the dogs out into the backyard. They have like a small backyard area. And there was a motion-triggered light in one of the upstairs bedrooms.
Oh, my God.
And you could see through the window into that room from the backyard. So it's nighttime. He's in the backyard letting the dogs go to the bathroom. All of a sudden, light starts triggering in that room. And he's like, what the hell? He's like looking up there through the window. He sees the light going off. So he goes inside. He goes up there because he's the only one there, confirmed. And the light was just going off. The light had stopped going off by the time he got up there. There was nothing.
You know?
Now, a naysayer could be like, well, faulty.
Right, faulty light.
Faulty lighting.
Could be.
If
That's
we're
not what
playing
he said.
advocate.
He was there.
Yeah.
I
got to play devil's advocate.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people.
You got to play devil's advocate.
That don't believe in the paranormal. they're gonna
Debunk.
debunk.
I mean, you want to be able to debunk it. You know what I'm saying? If
Yeah.
it's not true, but he couldn't debunk it. That's the thing.
Yeah,
he
yeah,
tried
yeah.
to.
You're gonna have to put that
The
on the
debunk.
screen.
Yeah.
Debunk.
Also, there was another story. I'm trying to remember the specifics. There was like a noise going on. He was in the house by himself. There was a noise going on. The house has several levels to it. So it's like one of the upper levels has a noise, like something being hammered. And he goes up there. Obviously, there's nothing there. So he's like, what the hell, you know? And then he's heard like footsteps going on around the house, that kind of stuff. He's asking he's like, is anybody here? You know, there's no feedback, but he's hearing just noises throughout the house. And then when the mother was there one night, she told me a story of back when her parents were alive, like her grandmother or grandfather, one of the two, was basically on bed rest in one of the upper level house bedrooms. And they had a caretaker taking care of the grandparent. And so she goes up there to visit her grandparent, and there was a weird figure in one of the corners of the bedroom. And, you know, she's like, what the hell is that? The caretaker knew it was there. The grandparent knew it was there. She knew it was there, the mother herself.
Like they saw it, or?
They all saw it. They all knew it was there. The caretaker and the lady were freaked out, right? There's like this just misty kind of figure in the corner. And the grandparent was like, it doesn't like the lights. Turn out the lights. And so they turned out the lights and it went away.
Yeah.
No.
So it was like the grandparent knew that the entity, whatever it was living in the house, and it knew what the entity preferred or didn't prefer.
I feel like normally with older people, at least like close to
death,
maybe see more stuff or whatever in their brains. But if they're all three seeing it at the same time, or maybe she's so old she's familiar with this thing.
Yeah, because she's been in the house for that long.
She's just used to it,
right?
Which is freaky,
right?
You know.
I mean, they say that about animals, too. Animals know things we don't.
Yeah.
That's one other thing the boyfriend told me about this house is that the dogs will stare at certain corners. They'll bark at certain corners. There's nothing there. You know, he's like
that's
super abnormal.
That's the freaky part, is when
abnormal.
the dogs start going crazy.
Or they just freeze and looking at some random area.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to line up where their eyes are looking. With and there's nothing.
That's like the kids, too. The kids are like, I have a secret friend.
Oh, no.
My friend.
No, that's just weird.
That's where it gets crazy. That's where it gets crazy.
Oh, it's too many scary movies for
That's
that.
when it's freaky.
Right. But, I mean, kids do have, like, imagination, so that's hard to tell. Like, is it actually an imagination thing, or is it, like, a real entity that we can't see?
You don't want to suppress the conversation because you want to hear, like, oh, they're doing something, or they did something to me, or like they were whatever. Like then I'd be like, okay, enough of that.
Yeah, that would be weird.
Yeah,
definitely. So that's kind of the story of the King Street house. There's other stories, but that's all I remember for now. The next thing I want to talk about real quick, just some personal experience story at the Citadel.
Let's get some personal experience.
I went to the Citadel, obviously, for college, which is the Military College of South Carolina, located in Charleston, South Carolina, a very historic town. The Citadel is a very historic college, right? And so one night when I was a freshman, me and a couple of my buddies, which when you're a freshman, you're called a knob because you got a bald head and you're worthless. Anyway, we were sneaking up to an area we were not supposed to be in our barracks, and the barracks that we lived in was the oldest barracks on the entire campus. And so we snuck up to this level we weren't supposed to be in. It was actually shut down. No one was supposed to be up there, so we sneak up there. We're just kind of piddle-paddling around. We go into a random room. We're like hanging out in this room. We think we're cool. You know, there's no power up there, so we got whatever flashlights we got with us or whatever. We think we're cool. We're hanging out. All of a sudden, there's another figure in the room with us.
Oh, no.
And we all start freaking out. This figure walks through the middle of the room. And the doors on these rooms, you basically have two doors. You have like a solid door, then you have a screen door. The solid door was already open. The screen door was closed. So this figure like walks through the middle of the room. We're all freaking out. We're all like backing up against the walls. The figure goes through the screen door, never opened it. It just goes through it. It walks up to the balcony, and after the balcony, basically, it's just a straight drop 4 stories down. And so it just goes right off the balcony.
Just walks off or falls off?
Just walks right off the edge and it's
like
gone.
Through the railing?
Yeah, through the railing, it's gone.
Oh, my God.
And so Well, we think, obviously we freaked out. We're running around. We're screaming all this shit. You know, we got in trouble for being up there, all this stuff. But what we think what happened was, because there was a lot of suicides at the Citadel, especially back in the day, where people would go up to the 4th story and jump off. So we think that it was some kind of trapped energy just replaying what happened, you know.
So when you saw this figure.
And then multiple visuals.
Right.
One was Rob McCrae.
Right.
You know, multiple visuals.
Can confirm.
So when you saw this figure, what was it?
It looked like a
mist, or was it look like a real person?
It looked like a Misty type person.
Like a Misty.
But they were in a Citadel uniform.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? The uniforms don't really change over the years. They're basically the same.
Yeah.
But it was like a Misty type person. It wasn't like a color like we are. It was like a solid neutral color, like a lighter color. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It doesn't have like darkness to it, or it doesn't have like tan skin or anything. It's just
Could you,
like one
see
color.
Through him?
Yeah, he's like a mist, so you can see
gosh.
partially through him, you know.
So what do you do after that?
We literally were screaming. We ran down that's how we got caught, because we ran down the stairs. The
Crying for mommy.
First sergeant was right there. We get basically surrounded by upperclassmen and dealt with appropriately, you know.
Yeah, they're making you do push-ups while you're freaking out that you just saw a ghost.
You're like looking around for whatever jumped off the balcony as you're doing push-ups. So,
but I remember whenever it first happened, we literally ran to the edge of the balcony. We looked down, it was gone. And then we ran down the stairs freaking out.
Yeah.
Was that area always closed off, or just?
Yeah, it was always closed. It's open now. Like you can, like there's actual cadets living there now.
Oh no.
But that was the oldest barracks on the campus.
Interesting.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, maybe a little trapped energy, because at least that's what I've heard is, you know, energy will get stuck, and so it'll be stuck on replay. So this one whatever will be doing the same thing or on the same path over and over.
Yeah.
Because I used to work with a guy that had a couple experiences, and that was his thing. Is like anytime he would see the ghost, they would be in the same route, you know.
Yeah.
Generally speaking.
Yeah. Which is interesting.
So I guess that's like a thing.
Yeah.
So that made you believe in ghosts, or what?
I mean, I always kind of believed before that.
Right.
Because I remember back when I was a teenager, there was one time that me and Chris were actually on the beach in the middle of the night.
We should have Chris on here,
too.
Should have
Chris on here. Shoot. But Chris has some experiences.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Or also, I think his grandparents' house is
on
that's
it too,
bro.
That's true.
His
I totally forgot
his
about
brother
that.
would tell me some freaky stuff that happened at their grandparents' house.
He can't confirm.
Let's just go get him.
Go get him?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Is he?
What's on his schedule for the day?
I just remember whenever, my phone's on airplane mode. Hold on, I'm looking. Well, actually, I don't think I'm going to be able to. I just remember that anytime, like, his brother would tell me some stuff that would happen at his grandparents' house, to where when we would go over there, because they live next door to each other, I would be on edge in their house, just because from the stories.
Yeah.
And it was just like, I was freaking myself out. Now I'm a little bit of a pansy when it comes to spooky stuff, you know, even though I watch Ghost Adventures.
I totally forgot about those stories of his house. But back in the day when we were on this beach in the middle of the night, it was actually Folly Beach. It was like right where you were doing your follow-up recently.
Nice.
Me and Chris were back in the day sneaking around on the beach at nighttime. Wow. And we saw a figure walking on top of the sand dunes. So we freaked out. We went to investigate it, actually, because we thought someone was like watching us or whatever. Nothing was there.
Yeah.
No footprints.
Super
weird.
Bravo for y'all, because you guys go to investigate. I'd be going the other way.
Well, because at first you think it's a person, right?
Yeah. At first we thought, oh, shit, there's this person out here. They see us, because we were trying not to be seen.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? No lights, no nothing.
Yeah.
Right?
That is freaky.
Freaky.
On the beach, you know, that's a lot of history.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, so there's definitely probably some...
Especially right there by that lighthouse. You know, it's right there by Morris Island Lighthouse, which is super old.
Some trapped energy for sure.
Could
or
be.
Not trapped. Well, I don't know the different classifications for ghosts.
So after that beach one is where Chris was explaining to me about trapped energy.
Yeah.
So then I was like, that's what ghosts are.
Yeah.
Then I saw the Citadel one. But when I was in the Navy, there's this guy. He had a crazy story, which I'll tell pretty quickly, but a bunch of guys in the Navy had stories. One guy had 2 Rottweilers. They kept going off in his house at this one location Then something happened. I don't remember, but he was like, there was something in that house. He sold the house. He moved.
Yeah.
You know?
That's the only thing to do.
Oh, you told me a story that's freaky.
That's what I'm about to tell.
It's freaky.
About the Navy guy?
Well, I think it has to do with a witch.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm about to tell. So
It's
when I was in the Navy,
freaky story.
of course, you just, you're shooting the shit at random times. You got a lot of waiting around for certain events to happen and stuff like that. Yeah, a lot of piddle paddling in the Navy. But anyway, so this one guy, we were stationed on Coronado together. He was telling me the story. He had a roommate. Him and his roommate had gone out to this location. I forgot why they were out in this area, but it was kind of like a rural area. They had to go to the bathroom. So they pull over to the side of the road. They go over behind these trees. They pee. You know what I'm saying? They're going pee in the woods.
As one does.
As one does. Then they get back in their car. They go back to their apartment, whatever, after that, normal life. So within a couple days of going to this place, things start happening in the house. Like things are getting moved. Things are getting thrown.
Oh, poltergeists.
They're seeing like a weird shape in the house, like a black type mist type thing. At nighttime when they're sleeping, they'll feel something touching them. One of the apartment guys, sheets would get ripped off of him, and they were just like living with this thing. They're like, okay, something's here, something's in the apartment, but it's not really hurting us, so whatever. They're just going about their daily life. The thing like knocks a glass off their counter. They're like, why the hell did you do that? They sweep it up.
I don't see how these people operate
No.
day in and day out. Like I would literally always be thinking about that anytime I'm in the house.
Right.
Yeah.
Especially if it's pulling my covers off me.
Oh yeah.
That's when
That's
it's time to move out.
I wouldn't sleep.
That's when it's time.
So,
yeah, literally. I don't see how you could go back to sleep.
So they're living with this thing, but then the roommate had a son who would come stay with him at certain times throughout the year or whatever from his divorce or whatever. So the son's staying with him, and one night the son actually gets physically hurt by the thing. It has like a scratch on him or something. So they were like, this is it, no more of this shit. So they're trying to figure out what to do, because they're like, it must be attached to either the complex or to one of us. That's what they're thinking. So I think it's the roommate, he's at work, he's talking to his coworker about it. His coworker's like, my wife is a Wiccan, which is like a witch, or someone that practices
I think
witchery.
It's a good witch.
Right. They're supposed to be good witches. So she's a Wiccan, let me talk to her. So he goes to talk to her. She gives him this kit to take back to the guys, and it has like sage in it. It has this special candle. It has like these salts in it, this stuff. It's like has these instructions too about what to do to get rid of an entity. So they basically take this kit to their apartment. They've got to put these certain things along every entry exit way of the apartment, like the doors, the windows, everything. The drains, they got to put the salt line across it. They got to do this, do that. The candle they have to put in the middle of the apartment, and they have to light it at a certain time, and they have to let it burn all the way out. But before they do that, they got to take the sage around and do this certain stuff with the sage, like take it to each corner, blow it, all this kind of stuff. So they do all this stuff. They light the candle, and as soon as they light the candle, this thing, the entity becomes they can see it visible, like the mist thing, black mist. It's screaming. It's like making an audible noise, and it's popping up at certain places and disappearing, popping up, disappearing. But it's like verbally screaming.
It's like a movie.
They can hear it screaming, right? And they can't leave or anything. They have to stay there because the entry exit ways are blocked by the salts or whatever else they put out. And the candle's burning. They have to wait for the candle to burn all the way out.
How big is this candle? That's a long time.
I don't know, but he said it was a while. And things are getting knocked over. It didn't hurt them, but it's like going crazy. And then once the candle burns out, everything stops. It's quiet. It's normal. And they never saw it again.
Super weird.
And they did try to backtrack to figure out why this thing just randomly started popping up. They realized it happened after that one night, that one location they were at. They went back to that location, which was now under construction, because this had taken several months to get to this point. You know what I'm saying? So now it's under construction, and turns out when they were doing construction, they unveiled that it was like an old burial ground of some sort. I think it was Civil War burial ground. And so anyway, they basically peed on the burial ground, which their belief was that they peed on it, which disrespected the burial ground, which then made an attachment to one of them, and then it just followed them to their place.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But yeah,
can't be peeing on graves.
And of course, if you're like a non-believer of the paranormal, whatever, you're like, that story's crazy. Mm-hmm. Which when I heard the story, I was like, this sounds crazy.
Yeah.
But listening to this dude, watching him, he definitely went through that.
The way he was talking.
The way he was talking, the way his emotions were.
Yeah.
And it kind of shook him up talking about it again. It's just weird.
But sure, also, like, how easily that he could, like, suppress it, right? Because people would think he's crazy. Mm-hmm. But if he didn't talk about it, he wouldn't have found his buddy's wife.
Right.
Who was a Wiccan.
Right.
You know? Like,
right. Yeah.
I feel like that you don't come across that every day.
Yeah.
So that would, like, worked out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was kind of like a coincidence type of thing. Because I feel like if that, most people who are, like, looking for advice, they go through all these sorts they talk to a medium or someone who claims to be one, and then you
I would think you'd go to like a Catholic church and look for the priest of the exorcist. Because each major Catholic church or whatever you call it is supposed to have a priest of exorcism, which helps with supernatural entities.
I don't know how responsive I don't know how responsive they're going to anyone saying something, because it could
the priest of exorcism. I listened to podcasts with them, and they get so many inquiries.
That's what I'm saying.
In order to actually see the exorcist or have them to come out, you have to get like a medical review board to review you. You have to go to a psychologist. And you have to go through all these things that confirm that it's not a psychological problem. It's not like a drug problem. They have to go through all these things, and if you go through all these things and you're cleared, then the priest will come out and meet with you. And if the priest determines that you probably have some type of supernatural problem, then they can do the rite of exorcism or whatever.
And all that.
And they might have to do it multiple times.
I was going to say, meanwhile, you're still going through
everything
you still
got to deal with the ghost or whatever it is.
And you might have to go through the rite of exorcism multiple times. That's the thing. Like their podcasts are crazy.
I mean, if it's an exorcism, that's normally something demonic.
Right.
So, you're really, some supernatural, or entities aren't necessarily demons.
Right.
So if you're bringing in an exorcism, there's stuff going down, and then you have to go through all this testing.
Yeah.
It's definitely serious. It's a more serious problem than a casual ghost experience.
Definitely. And there's a lot of fake, exorcism priests out there, too, so you got to be careful.
I bet,
The ones you're watching.
Just claiming.
The ones you're trying to call. Because some of them will just charge you, and then they'll come out and be like, oh, yeah, you need an exorcism. Then they try to do one, you know? Not good.
Yeah.
So anyway, that shit gets crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But the Catholic Church has had priests of exorcism for, forever.
Yeah.
Since the beginning of the Catholic Church.
Mm-hmm.
And they're, saying how people can become open to demonic entities is, playing around with dark magic, playing around with Ouija boards, anything, or being around someone that does that,
Yeah.
And of course they're all about accepting Jesus, accepting God, especially during the whole process. They're like, you need to accept Jesus, you need to accept God, all that. Obviously they're a priest,
I mean, that's what they say is even with on Ghost Adventures and stuff, when they do the exorcism, when you see it, saying the whole shtick of Jesus, saying Jesus Christ to fight off whatever, it actually is a powerful thing. And so even in the ghost shows, they use it.
Yeah.
But it's as when they feel it's seriously getting to a point of where they need to. It's not like they're using it left and right. It's normally if they feel they're dealing with a darker entity or presence or something with malicious intent, they'll be in the name of Jesus Christ. And that's when, when I'm watching, I'm fuck, shit, here we go.
Yeah.
I was it's getting serious.
I mean, even when they're declaring, you do not have permission to enter my body. And I'm does that work? You know what I mean?
You have to.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the old tale of the vampire has to be invited into your house.
Yeah.
That's what it kind of makes me think of.
Yeah. Or it's something along of if it's trying to possess you, not possess you, but if it's trying to attach to you or affect you, where you'll start to be physically affected. You'll have to legit set boundaries.
Yeah.
Which even sometimes I think, depending on depending on what you're dealing with, even that won't work though, and that's when you're gonna have to use the Jesus Christ or use the holy water.
Well, I think they can definitely detect if you're they can definitely detect if you have the confidence in there.
Yeah, you have to be like legit confident too, because if you're stumbling
scared.
around saying Jesus Christ and then it's like you're not serious, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You have to be like for real.
Well, if you have a demonic attachment too, they can affect you physically, so they might be able to stop you.
Oh,
because you're still in yourself, but they can just take over you physically.
Yeah.
They can suppress your soul and then use your body.
Ghost Adventures
Yeah,
season 23.
It happens in Ghost Adventures, but I think most of the time, from what I see, it's just like it's physical sickness.
Yeah.
Where they'll get sick, or like they'll get angry, or they'll be like throwing up, or like they just like, you can tell like their demeanor.
Well, the original movie of The Exorcism was based on a true story that the Catholic priest of exorcism did in London, I believe. That was like a true story.
I didn't watch it.
You know what I'm saying? I didn't watch it. I don't like watching that stuff, but I
You watched it?
Oh, yeah.
I know
it's like one of the scariest movies of all time. Well,
it was
maybe
for
not
its time
now compared to all the
But now they just
stuff.
keep like remaking it to
They're
update it to
coming
this
out
time.
with a sequel this
Yeah.
month, actually.
All right, moving into some of these legends of South Carolina paranormal. All right, the first one is just some legends of the Citadel, the Military College of South Carolina, which I already told my story. But located in Charleston and along the banks of the Ashley River, South Carolina's historic military academy has been home to numerous ghosts, phantoms, and other weird phenomena. Some of the more popular legends include unexplained lights in a first deck alcove, which the first deck is the first floor, and an alcove is the balcony area outside of the corner room. So unexplained lights would be a light where it's not supposed to be, right? The ghost of an unfortunate junior sword drill candidate who fell to his death from an elevator shaft. So junior sword drill at the Citadel is a very small unit of individuals. In order to get into that unit, you have to go through an extreme process of physical and mental challenges. Sometimes I get a little carried away, but on the physical side. But it sounds like when these guys were going through some physicality or physical challenges, it was close to an elevator shaft, and a guy must have fallen into the elevator shaft, which there are a lot lot deaths at the Citadel related to like the hazing that goes on and stuff like that.
Hazing taken too far.
Yeah.
Really?
Oh yeah, definitely. So
the Citadel, I mean,
God.
there are a lot of suicides. There's a lot of deaths, unfortunately, of stuff like that, especially back in the day. You know what I'm saying? But it could have been trapped energy. People are seeing things, and again, it's trapped energy, like what I saw.
Also, the Citadel, I mean, it just, the whole area of Charleston is a lot of Civil War, Revolutionary War.
Right.
You got a lot of history there.
Definitely.
All the entire grounds.
Yeah.
So you just got so much,
going on.
You can go on. So.
Also, there's been sightings of supposed Civil War soldiers marching around the campus and Indian spirits moving around. There are some old Indian graveyards in South Carolina as well. And then there's one account of an individual in full dress salt and pepper uniform, which is a wintertime uniform.
Okay.
Where it has, for those that don't know, it's like white
Not a
pants.
Halloween costume.
It's white pants with like a wool top that's gray, so we call it salt and pepper. Anyway, there's an individual that saw someone in full dress salt and pepper walk into a room, walk to the back of the room, and walk through the wall. So similar to what I saw, but like just kind of moving through the rooms and all that, kind of interesting.
I think also when they're doing when they're walking through walls and stuff, like
those walls might not have been there.
They
in the
might
past.
not have been there, so they're just walking on the path that they used
to.
So then when there's walls and shit there, they just, I mean, obviously they walk right through it.
Right. All right, so there is an old Citadel campus that's actually on Meeting Street, downtown Charleston. The Citadel has its new campus along the Ashley River. Both are old campuses. But the oldest Citadel campus, which is on Meeting Street, downtown Charleston, is now a hotel. Embassy Suites Hotel. You can go there. It looks like the Citadel, but it's like made into a hotel. It's pretty cool.
What?
It's right by the what's
You
that?
Go?
What's that big field called?
Marion Square.
Marion Square. It's right next to Marion Square.
It's a big ass.
You can
fancy
walk right
hotel
into
now.
it. It's a hotel. You can just walk right into it, look around, whatever.
Holy moly.
Didn't they just redo that whole thing?
I think so.
It's a brand new hotel now.
Anyway, there is a haunting there, a legend there.
Here we go.
Amidst the happy tourists and business folks bustling about Embassy Suites Hotel, a gory bit of history dwells. A spirit roams the halls and rooms of this building, the original citadel, which was built in 1829 as an arsenal and later became the South Carolina Military Academy, because that original citadel was built for the Civil War.
Mm.
Because of the unchanging style of cadet uniforms, it would be difficult without a detailed investigation to determine from what century he hails. Yet there is one common denominator to the ghost. The top of his head is missing. From varied descriptions, whether from stunned housekeepers or the cardiologist who left screaming in her underwear upon an early morning encounter, it seems his skull cap was shaved off right above the brow. Since this lost cadet, also known as Halfhead, was first documented by paranormal researcher Ed Macy, he has become a celebrity. Last October, which this was written, I believe this information was pulled like 2 years ago, so that would be in 2020, I want to say. The Huffington Post declared that this ghost made Embassy Suites the most haunted hotel in the South. Yeah. So basically he's just kind of moving around in the hotel. Yeah. But if he has his head cut off from here, you know, something happened, like some kind of war issue, or you know, if he's from older, maybe an Indian. I don't know.
Yeah. They scalped him.
Ugh.
So anyway, there you go, Erin. You could stay there.
Didn't you do a ghost tour recently? Did they
Yeah.
talk
We'll get
about
into
the
it.
hotel?
We'll get into it.
I was gonna say, did they talk about any of the hotels?
They talked about no. I remember.
They didn't.
No, but they all do different
I think
ones.
we need a Canine Revolution ghost tour.
That's what I've been saying.
I think we need to go, boys. We need to go.
Next legend is the legend of the Francis Marion Hotel, which is in Charleston too.
Yep.
During the 1920s, people visiting Charleston, South Carolina were enjoying the convenience of railroads and the luxury of grand hotels. The hotels in the area were designed with luxurious accommodations in mind. In 1924, the Francis Marion Hotel opened its doors ready to provide the guests with the most elegant accommodations available. The hotel received its name from the swamp fox, Francis Marion. Marion was a Revolutionary War hero, as he played a vital role in the battle between the Americans and the British. Many saw Francis Marion as an incredible leader, as a fair man, because he did not feel Americans who remained loyal to the British should be punished, and his leadership skills were a huge reason the American troops were successful. When people decide to book a room or suite at the Francis Marion Hotel, they may go in not believing in ghosts or paranormal activity. There are those that visit the Francis Marion to conduct their own paranormal investigations. For many people over the years, they have had beliefs in whether or not ghosts actually exists. There is a common belief that a Yankee by the name of Ned Cohen remains a forever guest of the Francis Marion. According to the legend, Ned Cohen, a northerner, met and became tremendously enamored with a unnamed Southern belle. Ned was so enchanted with the woman that he requested that his boss send him to Charleston, South Carolina on business. In truth, Ned went there to see his lady love. See her is exactly what he did. They reportedly spent one incredibly beautiful weekend together. Ned, blissfully happy, had no idea that his lady love would end up being the cause for his demise. According to reports, despite their connection, the Southern belle knew that a romance between someone from the North and someone from the South would not work because of post-war difficulties. Ned's Southern belle reportedly wrote him a letter and left it for him in his hotel room at the Francis Marion. Ned reportedly felt blindsided by the letter. His affections for the woman had apparently blinded him to the reality of unsettled feelings between people from the North and South. Distraught over his loss, Ned made the decision to take his life. He opened a window of room 1010 and jumped to his death. He landed on the historic King Street, Although his body was sent to New York for burial, because that's where he was from, many people claim that his spirit remains at the Francis Marion. Guests of the hotel have stated that no matter what they do, their room windows will not remain closed. Other guests and staff members have claimed that they have seen what appears to be a man crying in the hallway. The figure is known to vanish without explanation. Other people that have visited the hotel claim they have seen a figure of Ned late at night. There are those that say they never saw Ned's ghost but have felt his presence. The sensation of someone lightly touching their cheek is common. Others have stated that while they attempt to rest in their hotel room, they get the feeling that someone is looking at them. There is no malicious intent behind either of these occurrences, but more of sadness. Could it be that Ned's ghost is looking on the hotel guests as they sleep, seeing the face of his former love? No one will ever know the answer to that question.
He's a nice guy.
He's
Nice
a
guy.
Nice.
Nice guy, Ned.
He's a sad guy.
Also, just goes to show them Southern girls. You can't resist them.
Oh yeah.
Even for a Northern Yankee.
Oh, wow.
There's also a couple reports of people that are walking down King Street outside of the hotel, see what looks to be someone falling, but then there's nothing there.
Oh, gosh. I'm
Old
just
Ned,
saying,
huh?
if I'm trying to, like, go about my business and I come back and my window's open, I'm checking out. Checking out.
Yeah.
You won't embrace the entity?
That's
Be
the thing.
like,
I want to know. And I
I
want
feel
to
like
see.
if old Ned touches your face, maybe that's a different
That's
story.
weird. That's weird.
If old Ned, but also like I don't know, but like the feeling of having someone watch you, I don't know if I've experienced that firsthand.
Like
but
when you feel like
having
someone's
that,
staring at you.
Yeah.
I don't know what that feels like.
I mean, I felt that, but it's like legit. I'm looking around, then I realize there's someone actually staring at me.
But I mean,
At
that's
the
just
Citadel?
your no.
Just like if you're in a crowd,
Oh yeah.
you know, and
yeah,
you're
yeah.
like, I feel weird. You look
Yeah.
around and there's someone like paying attention to you
Yeah.
more than other people. You know.
See, I don't feel
That's
that
weird.
until I see them looking at me, and then I'm like just hyper aware. So
Yeah.
it would be interesting.
Yeah,
I gotta book a
definitely.
room.
Yeah, I wonder. Do we need to go a little ghost hunting adventure? We
think
go
we
downtown. We can rent a room in the Francis Marion. Whoever the last person in there wins 10 days of vacation.
Holy shit! I'm pretty sure I have done a ghost tour that takes you through the Francis Marion.
Takes
I'm
you
pretty
through
sure.
it, really.
I think we just gotta, like we'll do a series, and we'll just go to each location in this and do.
There
a
was
little,
when I'm just thinking of ghost tours downtown because I recently looked at because I almost went to one last weekend, but they got the 8 p.m. for all family fun, you know, where it's family, you know, ghost stories, but then there's a 10 p.m. one for the more hardcore.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's the one I need to go on,
Yeah.
but it's so late.
gotta
I'm like,
stay up.
10 p.m. Oh
Yeah.
my
Oh,
god,
yeah,
wouldn't
it's
get
too
out
late,
until
dude.
11:30. I think it's an hour and a half.
All right, moving on here. We've got the Legend of Poe, and this is on Poe's Tavern and Fort Moultrie, Sullivan's Island.
Edgar
South
Allan Poe
Carolina.
is a weird dude.
Weird dude.
Baltimore.
Occupying an area just 3.3 miles square, tiny Sullivan's Island is a barrier island about 9 miles north of Charleston's harbor. Known for its natural beauties and beaches, it is home to Fort Moultrie National Monument, where in 1776, Commander William Moultrie fought off British warships trying to occupy Charleston during the American Revolution. Fort Moultrie is also where Poe, who had enlisted in the Army under pseudonym Edgar Allan Perry, was stationed with his Boston Regiment beginning in November 1827. About 18 years old at the time, he remained for 13 months until December 1828. Do you know that Edgar Allan Poe was actually stationed in Charleston?
No.
Did you know
Well, he's a veteran.
Wow.
That's one thing about like these legends is it's actually the history.
You hear
is
the history,
interesting.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
The time Poe spent on Sullivan's Island likely provided fodder for the short story The Gold Bug, published in 1843, about the adventures of a man bitten by a mystical beetle made of solid gold. You know that?
Yeah.
You were a teacher,
Oh, yeah.
Erin. Do you know the short story The Gold Bug?
No.
No. Today, Sullivan's Island is a town of some 1,500 with street names such as Poe Avenue and Raven Drive. The main drag is Middle Street, where Poe's Tavern draws locals and tourists to appreciate its kitcheny Poe influenced decor and big front porch. Perfect for catching Atlantic Ocean breezes.
I've been there twice.
I've been there once. Fort Moultrie has numerous haunts that vary from Revolutionary War soldiers to World War soldiers that have been seen and heard walking around the fort. At Poe's Tavern, there has been a number of ghostly apparitions seen walking through the backside of the tavern, thought to be the oldest portion, and hearing footsteps and coughing are frequently encountered when the tavern is empty other than the closing staff. Lights are said to have turned on overnight with nobody in the restaurant.
Poe's Tavern.
Poe's Tavern, the legend of
When
Poe.
you go in the bathroom, it's just someone reading his books or his poems or tales or stories.
Yeah, it's like a recording.
Yeah. It's just like nonstop. And on the walls they have all the pictures,
all the Poe stuff.
all the pages from all of his stuff splattered on the wall.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting.
Edgar Allan Poe, he's a freaky dude.
He's a war hero.
He's got some weird ass stories.
He's a war hero.
Yeah, he's a war hero.
Well, that does remind me that Josh Tipton, technically Chris Tipton's brother. Technically, trainer Chris Tipton's brother. Yeah. His wife worked at this other restaurant in that area. I forgot the name.
Obstinate Daughter.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
What's the other one?
Fish Camp?
No.
Obstinate Daughter.
It's probably Obstinate Daughter.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's like a hotel, and it's a restaurant.
Oh, Post House Inn.
Post House, that's the one. Post House Inn.
Yeah.
It's a restaurant and a hotel.
Yeah.
So you can go there just for the restaurant, or you can stay in the hotel. And there is a legendary haunting there. Because I asked him about Poe's Tavern, because that's what I thought they were. He was like, no, it's Post House. But there's a legendary haunting there. Room 7. Someone killed themselves, apparently. Somehow, I don't know the actual details. But his wife, Josh's wife, Tiffany, was working in the kitchen. Nobody was staying in room 7. But room 7 kept calling for like an order, for like a kitchen order, right? And so kept calling. They would answer the phone. For somehow through the system, they know it was room 7. Hang up. And it was just happening all night, over and over and over. And eventually one of the people from the kitchen staff went up to room 7, unlocked the door, opened the door, and said, we don't want to disturb you. Please leave us alone. And then after that, the phone call stopped.
Polite ghost.
Right. And I think they logged the number of calls. It was like over 40 calls.
Oh my
that night.
gosh.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
He's having a little fun.
That's insane.
He's messing around.
Yeah.
You guys see that as fun. I'm like freaked.
I mean, if it was me at working, I'd be freaked out.
Yeah.
I'm sitting here chilling because I'm listening to the story.
Yeah.
But for you could not have me go up to that room.
No.
And open that. Hell no.
When they put specific room numbers like room 1010, room 7.
It's always freaky with the numbers attached to it.
Yeah, I'm like, we know exactly where it went down.
Yeah.
Room 7.
Yeah. I don't know.
All right, this is a more popular legend. This is the legend of Strawberry Chapel, which is in Moncks Corner, South Carolina.
We go.
Right outside of Moncks Corner and down the road from Mepkin Abbey, which is a monastery. Strawberry Chapel is tucked away amidst old oak trees and magnolias. Large tree limbs hang low while Spanish moss dangles above. Spiderwebs abound amongst the graves and tombs. Confederate flags decorate war graves. The old chapel and surrounding tombs reflect a different era and certainly complement the eeriness and hair-raising feelings you experience while you're on the grounds. Various legends and tales surround Strawberry Chapel. One true story describes the ordeal of Catherine Chicken, who at age 7 was tied to a tombstone by her schoolmaster one dark night in 1748.
What?
The chapel itself was built in 1725 in the town of Childsbury, a planned community that was settled in 1707. The town no longer exists and was eradicated by influenza. On your way to the chapel, you will see a historical marker with background. So I'll pause right there. A lot of these legends, they're from old, back in the day.
This is old.
And back in the day, a lot of the reasons why these legends are around, from sicknesses and diseases that were around back then, that there was no cure for, so people are dying like crazy.
Yeah.
Continuing
That
on.
sucks.
This place is creepy. As a native of the area, this is the paranormal, Palmetto State Paranormal talking.
Yeah.
This place is creepy. As a native of the area, I grew up listening to haunted tales about the chapel. I have done many investigations out at the chapel and grounds, and out of all the places my group has investigated, this location is by far the most active. Cold spots, EVPs, mists forming out of nowhere, and I had my hair pulled.
Oh.
Dang. I wonder when they're investigating, if they're doing it like for multiple hours at like
I tried to reach out to
12 a.m.
I'll have to keep trying to reach out to him.
Yeah.
Because of its stigma, the chapel has experienced a surge in vandalism and of people being disrespectful of the grounds, and has now been closed off with trespass signs and motion-activated cameras. The cops do surveillance on the area several times at night. So I actually, when I was dating Lauren,
I was gonna say, have
took
we been
her to
out
Strawberry
there?
Chapel. And the legend back then, just among the locals, was you go out there, it has to be after midnight. It was like ideally between midnight and 3 a.m. You go out there, there's a railroad track right there. You pull up to the railroad track, you turn off your car, shut off your lights, turn on your car but keep your lights off, drive across the railroad tracks, drive back across the railroad tracks, turn on your lights, and then some people would say like there'd be handprints on your car and other weird things going on. But basically, I drove out there. I got too freaked out. I left. You know,
It's a freaky location.
It is a freaky location. if
Just
you go
like
out
the
there.
look of it?
Oh yeah.
Is it like in the middle of nowhere or what?
Yeah, I mean there's more stuff around it now.
Oh, but
There's like
then,
a Parker's gas station down the road from it now, but back then there was like nothing.
But well, probably the main reason is, I mean, this place is old. You're talking 1707. That is, I mean,
Yeah.
and it's still
think about it. I mean, that's
The chapel is still there.
Over 200-300 years ago.
Yeah.
The chapel is still there.
Chapel's still there.
The
You know how
structure
much
is still there.
old.
They got the
old
graveyard next to
energy
it, you know.
just
That's
trapped in
creepy.
there.
But the main part of the legend back then was the girl that got tied to the tombstone. She died.
That's
You know,
insane.
she died there. But the legend also, just from the local folk back in the day, was that she was put into one of those tombs that are above ground, where you put the concrete lid over it. One of the legends was that she was put in there alive and the concrete lid was closed on her.
What the heck? Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like they just skated over that. Like it was like, no.
Well, I don't know if it's accurate.
Right.
Mm.
It's just a legend. It's like we don't know exactly what
You know how
happened.
one thing could be true, and
Right.
then you talk to 10 different
different
people, and
stories.
they got a completely different story. I mean, that could.
But
be
the story is that a girl died there, and that's like the main reason. there's
But
a
also
haunting.
not just her. You have a whole town who gets killed by the flu.
Influenza.
So
yeah.
you have all of those people there.
Yeah, that's true.
Probably buried
That's
in the
true.
ground.
Good point.
So think about it. You know, you got not just that girl.
Mm-hmm.
All these energies
Mhm.
there. You know.
Well, he said it's the most active, which is
I mean,
crazy.
it would make sense if you have a whole town wiped out there.
Yeah.
You know, you got all these spirits.
Yeah.
You know.
Moving on. The legend of Boone Hall Plantation.
Been there.
The Sunset Ghost, specifically. Boone Hall Plantation is in Charleston, South Carolina. Boone Hall Plantation was established in 1681. It was given as a land grant to Mayor John Boone. It originally was 17,000 acres. It is located today in the Mount Pleasant suburb near Charleston, South Carolina. The plantation first was used to grow rice and later cotton. Two brothers, John and Henry Horbeck, bought this plantation in 1817. They converted the back of the plantation near the Wampakachi Creek into the Holbeck Brickyard.
That means he can't pronounce it.
I
I made up that pronunciation.
Holy crap.
The soil near this creek contains clay that is ideal for making earthware, bricks, and tiles. The Holbeck's Brickyard quickly evolved from a few kilns, I think that's how you say it, Kilns, used by some of the plantation's 225 slaves into a thriving enterprise that served all of Charleston. In the decade before the Civil War, it is estimated that the brothers' brickyard produced 4 million bricks each year. The plantation slaves made all these bricks by hand. Most of the early buildings and churches that still remain standing in downtown Charleston today were made with bricks from the Holbeck Brickyard. That's cool.
Yeah.
The slave quarters on this plantation were also made from these bricks. The Holbeck's brothers had a large pecan grove planted on their land. This is the reason why Boone Hall is one of the last remaining active plantations in America today. In 1843, they also planted a spectacular mile-long drive called the Avenue of Oaks that leads to the entrance. The ghost at the Bricklin. Witnesses today report seeing a strange sight near the creek and one of the brickyard's Klin chimneys. At sunset, these witnesses all describe seeing a strange woman standing in the grass near the road. She is seen moving her hands in a repetitive thrusting motion. She wears ragged dark clothes and her face is tilted downward toward her hands. Because of this, no one has ever seen her face, for her loose hair covers it. Many witnesses have stated they saw a pale light of dust pass right through this figure. Since she is always seen in the same area, it is believed she is the ghost of a slave that worked at the 18th century brickyard.
Yeah. Sounds historically accurate.
Interesting. Interesting.
Working in that.
Which Boone Hall has crazy Halloween,
houses,
like ghost houses and pumpkin patches and kids areas and all that.
Yeah.
So they definitely do it big over there.
Oh, yeah, they definitely
It's huge.
Yeah.
Boone Hall's huge.
Yeah, you always hear it during Halloween. Halloween, Boone Hall.
Well, if you drive by, it's like bigger and bigger every year.
Yeah.
It gets crazy. All right, next up, the legend of Guerin's Pharmacy, which is in Summerville.
Mm-hmm. Which I just found out that this pharmacy it was built in like the Civil War time for
because you got the pre-read.
Well, no, I read it in the Post and Courier.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I saw, something on Instagram.
Well, let's dive into the legend.
There you go. Sorry.
What would a small town be without a homegrown haunted business that everyone knows about? Summerville has just this kind of place, ghosts and all. During the Civil War in the 1860s, Dr. Schwartman moved to Summerville and started a drugstore. It was located on Main Street in the basement of a private home. Dr. Schwartman kept the business until his store was bought out in 1871. In 1871, Dr. Henry Charles Guerin bought the drugstore. He built a wooden store and house where Guerin's Pharmacy is located today on Main Street. Dr. Guerin had been a major in the Confederate Army during the Civil War. Today, Guerin's is the oldest continuing business in Summerville and the oldest operating pharmacy in the state of South Carolina. Henry Guerin was born December 15th, 1827. He married Helena, born in 1835. On February 11th, 1871, they had a son, Joseph. Henry ran the store for many years, dying on September 4th, 1896, 3 months short of being 69 years old. His son, Joseph, who had been working in the store with his father, took over. Dr. Joseph married Eloise, who was born January 27th, 1874. A lot of changes took place while Joseph owned Guerin's Pharmacy. In 1910, he hired a young boy, Herbert Dunning, to work in the store. In 1912, Dr. Joseph Guerin wrote with chalk on a rafter of the second floor about the sinking of the Titanic. In 1915, the wooden glass front cabinets were installed. In 1925, the wooden store was bricked over. In 1938, Dr. Guerin hired the 12-year-old nephew of Herbert, Charlie Dunning. His first job was delivering packages all over town on his bicycle. All right, so basically, Dr. Joseph and his wife dies. Dr. Herbert Dunning, who had worked for him for 40 years, took over ownership in 1950. He owned the pharmacy for the next 25 years. When he died, his son Charlie took over the store.
Family run.
Holy crap.
All right, so let's get to what we're going. So basically, there was more deaths. There was more children, more deaths, and interestingly enough, Dr. Charlie Dunning is semi-retired. He still works in the drugstore as of a couple years ago when this was written.
Okay.
That was the box runner for the town?
Yeah. And his daughter, Barbara Dunning, is the pharmacist right now at the drugstore.
Really?
At least a couple years ago.
Yeah.
So if you want to see what old drugstores look like, Go into Guerin's pharmacy. The tin ceiling is still there. There's a table and chairs where you can sit, enjoy your cherry Coke from the fountain. Also be sure to notice Guerin's carved wooden prescription front with the mirrored background inset with stained glass. This fixture was already used when Guerin's first opened, but it was placed in the store in 1871. The Guerin's family home next door has been replaced by 2 businesses. The Guerins lived in the house. In the end, it became a boarding house. Guerin's is haunted by a former pharmacist who is sometimes seen in the pharmacy area. Also, a former female customer has been observed in the store. She has approached the register and has vanished. There have been countless sightings of a heavy-set, short man behind the pharmacy counter. Numerous customers have reported being tapped on the shoulder, but when they turn to see who's tapping them, nobody's there. Several of the employees have also reported hearing a woman singing and laughing.
That's creepy.
So this is probably a lot happening during the day. If the customers are being...
Could you only imagine
affected.
if you went there between like midnight and 3 a.m.?
Oh, yeah,
and just kind of just observed what you might see?
That is an old place.
Well, it used to be the pharmacy. Then they had the houses next to it. A lot of people were there. A lot of people died. You know what I'm saying? So definitely activities.
Also, just probably a popular place.
Right.
In and out. But apparently, I read that place, they would take wounded Civil War people there to get helped
fixed
out.
up.
Yeah, fixed up. So, I mean, even that,
Yeah.
A lot of Civil War talk.
Definitely entities.
Yeah.
Definitely activities.
But also you got all that busy energy of customers going in and out, a lot of history, people getting their medications there.
Yeah.
Sick.
Would be nice to go talk to them and ask them if they have any experiences.
I'm definitely going to now.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm definitely just go walk right in there.
Yeah, walk in there, say, hey.
I'm kind of scared to go in there now.
I've never been in, but I always stare at it for some reason. When I walk down there all the time with my dogs, I do stare at it, and I think it's a weird... Well,
it is.
So
it's a weird dynamic.
You're saying that something
it's drawing me to it.
is drawing you to it.
I've never gone in though. I've looked. I see ice cream in there. I'm like, what's going on here?
So get some ice cream.
I see some walkers in the window. I'm like, what is happening?
It is a kind of a weird display.
Yeah.
At from the storefront where it's like, what the hell is this place? Yeah.
All right. Next up is the Legend of Summerville Light.
Here we go. Chris is wanting he wanted me to talk about this one.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I thought I would revisit this legend. This is the Palmetto State Paranormal talking. I personally have been down this road many, many times and have seen the light.
Whoa.
I recently tried going out to Light Road only to find it not there. It looks to be an ongoing building construction project for new neighborhoods. This was written years ago. There are now neighborhoods there.
Oh, no.
And I've trained dogs in those neighborhoods. And I always ask people, have you seen anything at nighttime?
Oh, gosh.
Because I remember when I was a kid, I went down to this to see the light back when there was nothing there. It was just woods.
Yeah.
No
visuals.
Yeah.
You didn't see anything?
Did I ever see anything? No. But I've had people that I knew that did.
Hasn't Chris seen it?
I think he's seen it.
I think he said he did when he was a cop.
But there was a guy I went to the Citadel with from Summerville, and when we started talking about it, he got visibly upset.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because he went down there in his truck. His truck shut off on him because the light approached the truck, shut off the truck. He couldn't get away.
Dang.
And then the light disappeared, and after it was gone, only then would his truck start back up.
Yeah. That electrical surge, how on Ghost Adventures, they turn the electrical stuff off.
Mm-hmm. There are so many legends behind the Summerville Light, I'm not sure anyone knows the real story behind the road and the light. I can, however, say the road and light location was scary enough with or without the light there. The story goes on that a woman had a husband that was a night conductor for the Summerville Railroad Company. Every night around midnight, you could see her waiting by the tracks with her husband's lunch and a lantern, waiting for him to stop and eat. One night, he never showed up, and she was told his train had derailed and he was beheaded in the accident. Although they buried his remains, she never accepted the fact that her husband was gone, so she went to the tracks at midnight with her lantern and walked up and down, waiting for him. People, of course, began to think she was crazy, but she continued this nightly ritual until her own death. Mysteriously, the lights have never stopped coming through. It is said if you go to the tracks just before midnight, you can hear the normal sounds of the night. Crickets, frogs, the breezes. But for some odd reason, and this has been the case for every person who has seen the light. At midnight, the sounds suddenly cease, as if a presence has quieted them momentarily. Then you can see it. It's usually far off, a light and nothing else heading your way. If you stick around for the light to get closer, it is said that it will chase you. I don't know if the chasing is true, but the guy that I knew that went down there that got freaked out, his truck shut off, he couldn't get away, and then the light kind of moved off on its own,
Oh.
But I did go down there when I was in high school with a bunch of my high school friends. Went down the light road. At that time, it was like a problem area. Like the cops were always down there.
Mm-hmm.
There was always like people moving around down there. So they had piled up this huge pile of dirt on the road so no one could drive past a certain area.
Mm-hmm.
And we actually parked. We were gonna get out and walk around the dirt pile, but we got too freaked out. We left our cars and left.
Because at nighttime it's freaky.
It's freaky.
Yeah.
It's freaky. And as we were leaving, the cops actually were driving there. So we're like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
Oh, dang.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, it used to be like there's a neighborhood there, literally. I remember when I left to go in the Navy, like whenever I moved to San Diego, it was still there. Like the woods. Came back to visit one time. I started noticing construction. I'm like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
Where is this at?
You know where Azalea Square is?
Yeah.
It's like literally behind there. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I feel it. I don't know. Maybe just by all the people being there now. Maybe it's dissipated the energy.
Yeah.
But, I mean.
Or maybe when they were doing construction, they tore up whatever.
Yeah, maybe they disrupted everything.
The path.
The entrapped energy. Maybe it dispersed it.
Or maybe it's moving through those neighborhoods.
That's insane.
And nobody I feel like someone would have seen it by now.
I mean, that's the thing. Some developers set you up for failure by just throwing your house right on some things. You never know.
Yeah, that's a lawsuit.
Maybe it attached to somebody and went somewhere else.
Oh.
Yeah, maybe.
Good Lord.
Or I wonder if people in the neighborhood, like if they have battery-powered things, like the batteries drain
just turn off
faster than they're supposed to or whatever. Interesting.
Well,
Interesting.
if you ever train back there again, just keep asking people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're bound to talk to someone who's had an
Definitely.
experience.
All right, the legend of the Gray Man of Pawley's Island. What's up, Erin? You heard this one before?
No, I just saw you interacting around this one.
The Gray Man of Pawley's Island in South Carolina has walked the coastline for 200 years. Much like the Gray Man of Hatteras, his presence spells impending danger for the small island and the people who dwell there. It seems that while he is responsible for saving lives, he was unable to save his own. There are several stories about the origin of the Gray Man. This is just one of them. In 1822, a young woman was staying on the island with her family when she received word her fiancé was going to join her on the island after going to see his family. Delighted with the news, she had the servants prepare all his favorite dishes and decorate the house in anticipation for his arrival. When the time came for him to arrive, no one showed. For hours, she waited for her love, only to be visited by the fiancé's servant with tragic news. As they were traveling down the road, her fiancé was in great spirits and challenged his servant to a race on their horses. They raced down the strand, and when he saw a shortcut through a marsh, he decided to take it. Fate stepped in and caused his horse to stumble, throwing the rider off. When he tried to stand, he found himself sinking in quicksand. Despite his best efforts, he nor his companion were able to free him, and the girl's husband-to-be sank beneath the sand. The news nearly drove the girl mad. She spent hours walking along the Pawley's Island strand. One afternoon, she was out walking when she saw a man looking out over the water. As she got closer, she felt her stomach tighten. She couldn't believe her eyes. When she got closer to the man, she was sure it was her love. Suddenly, a wave burst from the sea, enveloping him. When it had gone, so had he. She told her family of what she had seen. They, of course, thought she was losing her mind. And that night, she had a horrific dream of being in a small boat in the ocean, tossed by waves. Wreckage all around her. All the while, her lover stood on a dune, trying to wave to her. When she awoke, she was terrified, so her father took her and the rest of the family to Charleston to see a doctor. That was fortunate, because within hours of their leaving, a hurricane struck the coast. When it was over, Almost all of the inhabitants of the North Inlet had died. Realizing that her love had returned to save her from a horrible fate, the girl returned to her normal self. 5+ hurricanes have battered Pawley's Island over the past 200 years, including Hurricane Hazel in 1954 and Hurricane Hugo in 1989. If the stories are true, the Gray Man has appeared on Pawley's Island before each of these deadly storms. Strangely, people who see the Gray Man not only survive the storm, but their property remains intact as well. Such is the case of Jim and Clara Moore, who encountered the mysterious figure just 2 days before Hurricane Hugo roared ashore. Hurricane Hugo decimated Jim and Clara's neighborhood, but the couple's home suffered little damage. Clara attributes their good fortune to the Gray Man.
Now, this is one that is a cool story.
It's a cool story.
But it sounds more of a more
Mythical
of a tale than actual truth. But if you got people saying they saw shit,
well,
you know.
but
There's
also
multiple accounts.
Yeah.
I didn't even know quicksand existed.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I really didn't.
It is.
That was just a
but
cartoon
I don't
thing.
think it's
No,
as it is depicted in cartoons, right? It doesn't suck you up that fast.
I mean,
right?
if
It's
it's
not
marsh, I'm
fast-sucking,
thinking of
yeah.
like the black like mud that
Fluff
you just
mud.
that you just sink into.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
then
it's
like,
different, and I remember being trained on how to get out of quicksand.
is
Like,
it
there's a
true
way
like
to
you
get
just
out.
like remain calm, or is it
Well, you
like
need
something
to.
like that? Like you
the
get really
reason
still.
why the reason why it's quicksand, if I remember correctly, is like the liquid to solid ratio, and because of the way the sand is, like, and the way the liquid being in it, like things can fall through the sand, like just sink into the sand. You know what I'm saying?
It's-
I
But
think
it's at
there's
a
a
very
bottom to
slow
it.
pace. I'm pretty sure.
That sucks.
Yeah,
Which makes me think that maybe it's a myth. But I mean, if he didn't get out,
maybe could have been something else, but
This is what I say though. This is what I tell Jake every time he goes. I'm like, don't do stupid stuff. Just get to where you need to go. Safe.
It
but in
is-
1822, they're talking
Yeah.
about hurricanes. Like 1822, you had no heads up that a hurricane was coming. It
Yeah.
was just there.
Yeah.
It was just a storm, and boom. You know what I'm saying?
That's why I say it's a cool story,
Mhm.
or it's like one that I like. If he shows up every time there's a major hurricane,
Yeah.
like that's kind of cool.
Well, there's actual pictures on the interwebs of like
Interwebs.
Interwebs.
a house standing
Mhm.
where the surrounding houses are destroyed in relation to this story. There's
Is that
also some
with their account or just
with the gray. If you type in Gray Man of Pawley's Island, you'll
Yeah.
see some of these stories.
Mhm.
You'll also see some images of a misty figure on the beach, supposedly the Gray Man.
pictures,
Pictures,
evidence?
evidence. So
Photoshop.
believe it or not,
Yeah.
You know,
believe it or not,
Makes you wonder.
makes you do.
makes you wonder. That's the Gray Man. Moving on. The Legend of the House of Goshin. Ghost story of the House of Goshin in Newberry, South Carolina. The ghost of a dog. This is the legend of the Hound of Goshin, not the house. Did I say
come on now.
house?
Yeah.
Okay, it's the Hound of Goshin. The ghost of a dog that has come to be known as the Hound of Goshin haunts the 5-mile stretch of Old Buncombe Road that runs between the Ebenezer Church Cemetery and the Goshin Hill Plantation. This one I thought was cool because it's a dog.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Come on now.
The ghost of the dog is said to be an extremely large white dog the size of a St. Bernard. People have described it as looking like a very large white hound. The original road there was a stagecoach route between Ebenezer Church and the township of Goshin in Union County, South Carolina. People claim you will be driving through this area. No matter what speed you're going, the dog will be running beside you. If you stop, it will be settling in front of your car. Some people have claimed it throws its head back and howls. People have been seeing the Hound of Goshin for over 150 years. There are usually several reports of people in the area seeing it every year. It seems it is seen more in the summertime than in wintertime. One legend says that the dog's master was buried in the old Ebenezer Church Cemetery, and the dog followed his master to the graveyard, where it lay on his grave until the dog died of starvation. It was then buried beside its master. Some people say the dog's ghost is seen because the loyal dog is still looking for its master.
Dang,
I
that
like
sounds-
this one.
That's it.
I like this one
Mm-hmm.
because also you got over 100 people saying that, so that would be sick. A ghost dog. That's kind of sick.
Yeah.
But also makes you wonder: do dogs have souls? Does a soul requirement to be a ghost? Makes you wonder.
Good thoughts. Or is it just trapped energy?
Yeah.
But if it's trapped energy, I mean, it wouldn't be slowing down next to your car. Because it said if you slow down, it'll slow down. And if you stop, it'll sit by your car. That's what the legend says.
See, that's cool, though.
That's not energy trap. That's something else.
That's just like an existing
That's an
spirit.
active entity.
Yeah, definitely not trapped.
Right.
That makes it cool.
That does say. Think about the relationship between the dog and owner.
Yeah.
You know how you debunk that? You have to go there.
It'd be
you have
even
to be driving the road a lot to see if you can find it.
Yeah. It'd be even cooler if it was like the dog and the guy. Like we're just walking around. You see the dog and the owner.
You probably wouldn't see them because they're satisfied.
Yeah,
a lot of entities are unsatisfied.
Well, this dog makes it seem because the dog is still looking for its owner, not satisfied 100%. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. If it was with his master, they'd just be off doing whatever. You probably wouldn't see him.
Yeah. Good one.
Up next, the Legend of Seven Devils Bridge.
Oh, shoot.
Which anytime I hear devils, it makes me weird.
Yeah.
It makes me feel weird. This is in Spartanburg, South Carolina. Some people in Woodruff, Spartanburg, say that the old bridge, a new one has since been built near where the old one was used to hang 7 slaves, thus the name Seven Devils Bridge. The Seven Devils Bridge is located near the Price House, which is at 1200 Oakview Road in Woodruff. The old bridge was only able to be crossed on foot, but sources today seem to indicate that the new bridge can be driven over by cars. The ghosts and hauntings at Seven Devils Bridge. Locals claim that crossing the Seven Devils Bridge at precisely midnight is a traumatic experience, and those who do it go mad, at least temporarily.
What?
Some people also claim to see greenish-colored lights off in the distance while sitting at Seven Devils Bridge.
Go mad.
How far is that?
Spartanburg, couple hours.
Ah,
not that
that's
far.
crazy.
You go mad, huh?
Yeah,
like go mad from seeing or from being haunted,
or just being you feel the presence,
or you feel
the energy.
You get affected.
Right.
It's like in Ghost Adventures when Zach's just like standing there like, Zach, you okay?
Well, this reminded me of the Devil's Bridge episode in Ghost Adventures when I was reading this one. That one was crazy.
I mean, 7 people get hanged. That's bad energy.
Right.
Bad energy.
And they were probably like just disrespectfully hanged, right?
And then you got the last moments of those guys getting hanged,
right?
Just all around bad energy.
Right.
I'm sure that place is definitely not good vibe.
Oh my God.
A little freaky.
South Carolina's got a lot of paranormal.
It's an older state. It's
right?
one of the oldest states. Well,
a lot to explore.
All right, next up, the Legend of Pon Pon Chapel of Ease, Jacksonboro, South Carolina. A chapel of ease was created for this region of St. Bartholomew's Parish by an act in 1725. In 1754, a brick chapel replaced an earlier wooden one. This chapel burned down around 1801 and was rebuilt between 1819 and 1822 and came to be known as the Burnt Church. Ironically, the structure was used until 1831 when it was again reduced to ruins. In 1737, John Wesley, the famous Methodist minister, preached 2 sermons here. Ruins of the church are stabilized and can be visited, and also the adjacent cemetery dating from the 18th century. Perhaps the most famous haunting in the cemetery is the legendary story of the Fripp tomb. The wealthy couple was laid to rest here, reportedly surrounded by their most prized possessions. But when the Union soldiers caught wind of the potential treasure, they broke into the tomb and robbed it.
Pirates.
Disturbing the fallen.
Bad idea, buddy.
When caretakers tried to seal the tomb with a fresh row of bricks, they returned the next morning to find the bricks neatly stacked in a pile next to the tomb entrance. They repeatedly tried sealing the tomb, only to find the bricks stacked over and over again. Eventually, the tomb was just left open, and that's how you'll find it today. And if you look up pictures, you can see that. Shadows and voices have been reported when nobody else was around. Strange lights and sounds of a drum being played have also been reported. When I hear drum, it's like a military, like marching.
Yeah.
This chapel sits adjacent to Parker's Ferry Revolutionary battlefields. So that could be where the drum noises are coming from.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
That tomb scenario sounds a lot like
The other one.
Yeah.
Yeah. But if you look up the pictures of that one, you'll see like the tomb with the bricks just stacked to the side.
That's crazy.
Which is crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, next up we have the legend of the underwater ghost town of Ferguson. So basically, South Carolina has a bunch of large lakes, one of them being Lake Marion. And before, those are all man-made. And so before that was there used to be towns in those areas. And so Ferguson is a obviously old town. They left the buildings intact. They installed the lake, so now it's underwater. But whenever we hit a drought, you can now see the town, right? You can see the town. You can actually travel to it. You can go to Utah Springs, and you can basically take a small boat ride and go over to where the ghost town of Ferguson is. But apparently there's, things that are seen moving around in that area, especially during a drought. So I thought that was pretty interesting. All right, the legend of the Shamrock House. If you're not afraid of things that go bump in the night, then you may want to test your resilience at this haunted rental cabin. So you can rent out the cabin, situated in the woods of the Palmetto State. From apparitions and spirits to spooky things that occur for no reason at all, this cabin in South Carolina's land of waterfalls is certainly capable of making your hair stand on end. Known as the Shamrock House, the cabin in the woods was built in 1925 as a family compound. There are 3 dwellings found on the present property, but the main cabin is where all the occurrences seem to take place. The legends surround the hauntings begin with a party that took place in 1927. A young woman who was a teenager and her friends were supposedly hired to provide upstairs entertainment for the gentlemen attending the soiree.
We know what that means.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. But one in particular, who was named Nancy, bailed out after arriving and had second thoughts. She went upstairs and locked herself in one of the bedrooms while the party continued as planned. But then Nancy got word that her father had found out she had been hired as the evening entertainment. He was a hardcore preacher and carried a gun. Legend has it that Nancy apparently became overwhelmed when she learned he was on his way to the house and that she would have to face him. Perhaps Nancy had been drinking prior to locking herself in the room, but that probably didn't matter. She took an overdose of pills that she found, or maybe she had them, and she died, either before or after her father got there. The date was Friday the 13th, May 1927.
Today. Just kidding.
91 years later, the guests who stay in the big cabin report all sorts of weird things going on. Footsteps are often heard when no one is walking. Unexplained cold spots even in the summer. Lights turn on and off with no help. Doors have been known to open or close on their own. It's hard to believe the ghost of one woman is responsible for so much activity. Perhaps there are more.
Cold spots in the summer.
It's ice cold right here.
Feel it, Billy?
Yeah.
But if it's a family compound, there's probably other deaths that were going on there too.
Oh,
She might just be one of the entities. One interesting fact, did you know that the living room of a house used to be called the death room of a house?
Oh, is that because that's where they did the viewing?
That's where people, like, when they got sick, they would put them in that room, and then they would die in that room. And then, like, after a certain time, it turned into, like, being called the living room.
Which is
that's weird.
Funny.
That's
or ironic.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Like, we gotta change his name. We gotta flip this around. I'm trying to sell houses here, Johnny.
All right, the legend of the little boy at Graniteville Cemetery. From most of the accounts of the cemetery, supposedly 2 ghosts hunt the property, a witch and a ghost of a little boy. It's odd as to why they refer to the woman who hunts the cemetery as a witch, since most of her actions are benevolent. That means, like, no impact, right?
She's a good ghost.
She's known for walking the cemetery at night, placing flowers on the graves of young children. However, the grave and ghost we want to know more about is that of the little boy. In 1855, As you can see here, there are many flowers and toys on the grave. Well, there's a picture there. Legend has it that in October of 1855, the train stopped at Graniteville, and on board was a little stowaway boy who was ill. The people of the town put him in the Graniteville Hotel and tried to find out his age and where he was from, but he remained unconscious. Later he died, leaving a mystery behind him. He was buried in the cemetery with a lone marker that says the little boy. That's what the gravestone says. October 1855, they buried him. Once he was buried, the town must have felt some sorrow for this little boy who had no known parents and died alone in a strange town. At once, they came and placed toys and flowers on his grave to accompany the boy in the afterlife. For almost 160 years, townspeople and visitors have lovingly placed toys for the little boy. Some have claimed to have seen the apparition of the child playing with his new toys and have heard the sounds of a baby's cry. There have been numerous reports of mists forming as though a stagnant low-lying fog, and balls of light that seem to float through the grave.
Ghost orb.
Orbs.
Sorry.
Interesting.
Dude, when kids get involved, I think it's so weird.
Yeah,
it makes it more creepy.
That is a little
Oh,
weird.
yeah, definitely. Crazy. All right.
That one got Chad.
The Legend of Crybaby Bridge,
Wait, where's this?
Anderson, South Carolina.
There's one in Maryland.
Really?
Yeah.
This particular bridge was built in Virginia. The bridge itself was built in Virginia in 1919. It was originally installed in the Charleston area to connect two counties together. In 1952, the bridge was then moved to Anderson to replace an older bridge. It is an old, rusty, iron-railed bridge. A cement bridge that was built in the 1980s runs beside the old iron-railed model. Crybaby Bridge is 194 feet long, 17 feet wide. The bridge was once located near a mill that was under the bridge along the Rocky River until the mid-1840s. Sometime later in 1894, the mill was replaced by an electrical plant. Anderson locals claim that there was a car accident at the bridge. A woman and her young baby died in the accident. Some say the woman was driving a car, while others say the woman and child were in a carriage. A little bit unclear.
Yeah.
Another story about the bridge is that a woman tossed her baby over the bridge after her husband died in the Civil War. According to local lore, if you cross the haunted bridge halfway and repeat a particular set of words,
Don't do it.
cry baby cry, the disembodied sound of a ghostly infant can be heard. Some people also report hearing the eerie sound of a woman crying or a ghost car that passes over the bridge. A woman dressed entirely in white has also been reported floating near the bridge, purportedly looking for her lost baby. To increase the chances of seeing an apparition, Anderson residents say that it is best to visit during the full moon at midnight. Turn off the car. Get out. Put the keys on the hood of the car. Then say the magic words. Cry, baby, cry. Then, according to some sources, the door may lock spontaneously and the apparition of a woman may appear. Later, the car may or may not start, or certain functions of the car may not be working.
So that is verbatim. We got to do some investigating. That's
You
the story
will-
in Maryland.
You will not catch me.
Oh,
I
mean,
wonder if this bridge, because it was moved from Virginia
yeah,
down here.
yeah,
I wonder if it's the same bridge that was up there.
maybe. I mean, because that's like verbatim. The what I've heard is she was in a carriage. There was the car accident that made the horse like basically deter, or not car, obviously, if it's a horse, but the baby fell out the carriage, and the mom like spent the rest of her life looking for her baby.
Interesting.
So
Disturbed
it is
energy.
interesting. But same thing, put the car on. I feel like if you do that, you're signing up to have car problems. You know?
Well, Erin, you need to look into this and keep us updated.
I will.
The Legend of the Wahalla Hitchhiker. This is in Wahalla, South Carolina. Moody Spring on Highway 107 outside of Wahalla is one spot where a ghost hitchhiker has been encountered over the years. It is said the phantom hitchhiker of Route 107 is seen only on rainy nights, standing alone along the mountain highway between Moody Spring and the Piedmont Overlook. Most witnesses describe a man standing near the spring or overlook soaked with rain. When asked if a ride is needed, the man will request to be taken to whichever location is opposite where he is encountered. Witnesses claim a blank and expressionless face and few words. When the man is dropped off at his destination, he vanishes, leaving a pool of water from his overcoat on your vehicle seat and floorboard.
Wait, so this dude gets in your car and rides with you? That's interesting.
Does that story make you think of anything?
Mm-mm.
No?
Are you talking about last night?
No.
Oh.
What?
I was thinking about the ghost adventures from last night.
No.
Uh-uh.
Our dad, me and Ben's dad, used to tell a story. He never said it was a ghost legend, but it sounded just like that, about a hitchhiker.
Really? I don't remember
You don't
this
remember
story.
Basically, he would tell the story where, because he works on cell towers, so he's going out to these crazy locations, go up. He went to a gas station, walks into the gas station. He's getting something. He noticed that there was a figure on the outside of the gas station as he was walking in, but there was no other vehicles there, pouring down rain. As he's going back out to his work truck, the man asks him for a ride up the road. He's like, okay. So he gets in the car, drives up the road, and then in the middle of nowhere, the figure asks for him to stop. He stops, and then the figure jumps out of the car. Disappears.
He said this is something that happened to him?
He was making up a story, but he was like the figure in the
yeah,
story.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I think it could be based on that
I
legend
need to
right
talk to
there.
him again. I don't remember this one. Maybe he didn't tell me.
Maybe you were like too little
Yeah,
when he was
maybe you
telling
didn't.
that
Maybe you
story.
stopped telling that one.
But
that's an interesting one that he rides with you in your car.
Yeah.
And he talks to you and stuff.
Yeah.
That's very
That's the
interesting.
legend.
But he's just like straight faced the whole time.
Yeah. That's the legend.
That's kind of a spooky one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of like that one. Oh, I was thinking of Ghost Adventures because it's near a spring in the mountains, and I guess there's like a thing with spirits where it's like when there's water, flowing water.
Water is an energy source.
Yeah,
is
it's
the
energy,
thing.
and then
Right.
when there's like minerals or something, so if
it's
it's
all
on a
about the energy
mountain,
source. Yeah.
like that makes me think if there's like more of a possibility.
Yeah.
But that makes it just has to be a strong channeled spirit to be able to interact with you and ride with you and then say stop.
Maybe it's
here and
looking
get
for an
out.
attachment. Maybe if you're not
It
able to be
doesn't
attached to it,
sound
jumps
malicious
out.
though. It sounds like it's just stuck
Yeah.
in that same loop.
Yeah.
You know. So.
Yeah. I'm interested to know how long that's been happening for.
Mm-hmm.
All right. The legend of hauntings on Folly Beach. In the early 1600s, when Europeans first arrived on the island, they discovered a native tribe known as the Bohickets. By the late 1600s, however, this tribe was all but wiped out, and even today it remains unclear what happened to them. In the 1700s, buccaneering pirates, some as legendary as Blackbeard himself, would hide out along Folly Beach and maraud along the surrounding coves and inlets near Charleston, wreaking havoc and commandeering innocent trade vessels. In 1832, one of the most haunted Folly Beach stories of all occurred. A ship known as the Amelia, bound for New Orleans from New York, wrecked off the coast of South Carolina near Folly Island. The surviving passengers, 120 of them, were cast ashore on Folly Beach, and rather than being guided towards safety on the mainland, they were quarantined and left to fend for themselves, as there were whispers that an illness had broken out among the survivors. 20 of the surviving passengers went on to die while stranded on Folly, and they are said to still haunt the area to this day. The most popular tale of paranormal activity on Folly comes from the time of the Civil War. Nearby Morris Island, which is where the lighthouse is, was the site of the famous Fort Wagoner battles of 1863. The western side of Folly was thus used as a Union Army field hospital where many wounded soldiers, including members of the famous 54th Massachusetts Regiment, returned from the battle badly mutilated and on the fringes of death. And what may have been even more gruesome to grasp is how many of these restless souls were buried in unmarked graves while fighting for control of the holy city. Over the years, hurricanes and heavy storms have uncovered some of these graves, and even as late as 1987, the remains of 14 unknown soldiers were uncovered on the western side of the island. Spookiest of all, 12 of these bodies were missing their skulls and other body parts. Incomplete graves, or they were spread out.
Yeah, unmarked graves, not good to go.
And on Folly Beach, you know, you go behind the sand dunes, you know, you're out there, you decide to pee, you got to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
You know, dude, you're peeing on a grave.
Isn't that where you saw
That's where I was. Yeah. That's where I saw.
So it kind of lines up.
Kind of.
Oh, with
makes
Chris?
sense.
Yeah, that's what we saw.
Kind of makes sense.
Yeah,
maybe Chad's not lying.
Definitely. Maybe the legend is true.
Yeah.
All right, the legend of the old exchange building in Provost Dungeon, Charleston.
Here we go.
Very active.
Which they just opened the Charleston Jail back up.
Yeah, I saw that.
So
I saw that.
Wait, is this the one?
Ghost Adventures did the Charleston Jail.
Yeah,
which is next.
but is this the dungeon? Is that where
this is the dungeon?
Like with the only building with the basement in downtown?
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so we got the old exchange building and dungeon. The building is steeped in American history. It was here that the Declaration of Independence was publicly read to South Carolinians. Here, South Carolina ratified the U.S. Constitution. Here, George Washington held banquets in the Great Hall. And here, below the high polish of the hardwood floors, natural light and Revolution-era beauty, lies a place where prisoners were subject to unspeakable tortures. The Provost Dungeon predates the old exchange building by almost a century. From 1680 to 1767, Charleston was a walled city to protect the prosperous town from all sorts of invaders, British, Spanish, and pirates. The Court of Guard building originally sat atop the dungeon, but was demolished, and the remaining seawall lowered in 1767. When you enter the dungeon, you can still see what's left of the original wall. If you walk down there, you can actually see the actual seawall from back then.
I saw it. I've seen it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Actually, me and you went down there.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. I was like, wait, that's where I saw it.
Yeah.
Me and Chad were together.
We actually did a tour. It's on YouTube.
Yeah.
The Pack Talk Podcast YouTube. You can see the tour.
What?
Yeah. You're not on the Pack Talk Podcast YouTube?
Oh, of course I am.
Okay.
She's not. She's lying.
Under the British control, patriots were chained to the walls of the dungeon alongside pirates and left to die from disease, injury, parasites, and rats. Below it, because it was below the waterline, the dungeon sometimes flooded, drowning the captives. The dead were often left with the living, putrefying the stifling, humid, stale air. The whole building is allegedly haunted, though the specters upstairs in the old exchange are typically far less aggressive. Because the staff wears Revolution period clothing, it's sometimes difficult to tell the living from the dead. Visitors have been reported approaching who they believe is a staff member, only to watch in horror as the staff disappears when addressed. In the dungeons, reports include the usual ghostly occurrences: moans, cries, screams, then sound effects. Some have seen chains that restrict visitor entry being tugged or pulled. A few unlikely visitors have been pushed, and some even choked.
Oh.
Yeah. Ask Eric Lavender.
Oh, yeah.
He was on the podcast. He talked about it.
Yeah. That was a stop in probably most ghost tours. But they would say, like, when the people were chained to the walls, and like you said, they would be drowned, or sometimes they'd just get, like, from bad hygiene or whatever infections, they would die. Essentially, they'd clear the bodies out on a Sunday. But if someone died on a Monday next to you,
you got 6 days.
You're just sitting next to them. I mean,
damn,
gross stuff.
That's crazy.
They were hardcore.
Yeah.
Back in the day.
Also, the British, in case you didn't know, they had the dungeon under their control for a while. They captured it.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. If you want to see
that,
that,
it was their headquarters for a long time, or for a while.
Yeah.
And then we had all of our explosives there. Yeah. And they didn't even know it.
Yeah.
It was like
they had it hidden there.
It was right under they were looking for the explosives. They didn't know under the whole time. It was right underneath their noses.
Yeah, if you want to see that building and what we're talking about, go to the Pack Talk Podcast YouTube channel. Look for the American Revolution Provost Dungeon tour. We did a whole tour there. Pretty cool. Yeah. if you're in Charleston, definitely visit it. It's like a big tour spot.
Take a tour.
You can do a haunted tour at nighttime of the dungeon. I think they will take you down
Yeah, but I
there,
think you can also just go in and go down there. Like it's open.
Yeah, but not at nighttime.
No, not at nighttime.
You have to get like a tour guide to take you down there.
Yeah.
And like it's so old, like all of the floors there creak. So if you like working there, it'd be interesting to talk to someone that works there, like closing staff.
Yeah.
To see what they're saying.
Yeah.
You know, see what they're seeing.
Ain't no way.
The legend of the old Charleston City Jail, which just reopened. From 1802 to 1939, the old city jail housed some of Charleston's most infamous criminals, 19th century pirates and Civil War prisoners. Let's see, a bunch of stuff's happening here. The jail that was featured in numerous paranormal investigation television shows like Ghost Adventures, Ghost Haunters, and Paranormal State. Some visitors claim to have seen objects move, while others hear voices and slamming of doors. Regardless of what you may or may not believe, no one leaves without a lot to think about.
Mm.
Yeah, this is a pretty active one.
Yeah.
Well,
the Ghost Adventures episode's pretty good. And
I need to
Eric
rewatch
Lavender,
it.
who we had on the podcast, he's in the Ghost Adventures episode on it.
I need to rewatch that
Oh,
one.
I didn't realize that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I told you.
Well,
I told you.
So when it says reopened, it's not reopening as a jail, is it?
No, for like tours.
Oh.
Yeah. They did like remodeling and all that.
Mm-hmm.
What?
Yeah.
You gotta leave it.
Yeah.
Well, I think that was the problem, is that it was so old they had to.
Oh.
Or
It was like
collapse.
a dangerous.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
It wasn't passing inspection.
But I'm wondering if any of those construction dudes had problems. Like if their equipment would turn off or some shit.
That's a good question.
That'd be awesome.
That's a good question.
Fun.
Because you remember the Ghost Adventures where they're like going into, Devil's Island?
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, hey, we've been trying to do construction on this property, but we're having problems.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
Did you know there's a lot of colleges in South Carolina that are haunted, supposedly?
The Citadel is one of them.
One is
I'm
the Citadel.
sure College of Charleston has it.
Also, College of Charleston.
stuff.
Boom, right here.
Boom. Oh,
the
my
Legend
God.
of College of Charleston Berry Dorm.
Buried.
The young ghosts
yeah.
that haunt the College of Charleston Berry Residence Hall are as mischievous as they are mysterious.
Mm.
Okay. The building used to be an orphanage. It's a 5-story building. It initially served 115 kids, with enrollment peaking at 334 kids shortly after the Civil War.
Holy crap.
Yeah. The infirmary was full during the influenza pandemic of 1918. So they had a bunch of orphans. Now they're all sick. You know what I'm saying? Then, it just kind of went downhill from there. They decided to evacuate the building.
Yeah.
The building caught on fire. A bunch of people died. A bunch of kids died.
That's asking for.
The orphan house was demolished in 1953. And then Sears department store built a building there.
Oh, my God.
Sears moved out, and then College of Charleston took over, made it a dorm.
Really?
Oh, no.
That's how it became a dorm. Since the dorm's opening, students have been plagued by a rash of false fire alarms, as well as the distant voices and laughter of children late into the night. The eerie sounds of travel through the halls, stairwells, air conditioning vents, and under the trees on the outer brick courtyards between 2:30 and 5 a.m. Many have been awakened by the sound of marbles cascading across the floor, only to find no one and no marbles.
Wow.
The disembodied voices heard are generally described in interviews as eerie, but celebratory. So
Yeah.
they're kind of like playing and stuff like
not
that.
a problem, yeah.
A few witnesses noted hearing the high-pitched chanting of a popular children game, Ring Around the Rosie.
Oh, no.
Spooky.
Mm.
That's spooky.
Well, that's all
demons-
based around the plague. The
Is
ring
it?
around the rosy.
Is it really?
Yeah. Because
Really?
an illness, talking about how it's like they all fall down, they all died. And like
Interesting.
Posey was some type of either medicine or like the illness.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's not a happy tale or song.
So Barry Dorm between 2:35 a.m. is most active.
I used to date a girl in COC, but I don't think it was a Barry. I don't remember the name of the dorm.
Yeah.
But nothing.
Crazy.
No spooky experiences.
Ugh.
All
I
right.
mean, fire alarm. You can't. cross
Fire
that
alarm
out
is like hard to.
You
hard
can't
to,
rule that out.
Yeah.
Right.
as people just in their dorms.
Right.
Or it's just like old systems. Or I don't know. I mean, it could
the
be
marbles, the kids, but
That's
also demons do disguise themselves as children.
Yeah, but this one lines up for kids. Though, because
with
of
the orphanage.
Yeah.
All right, next up is the legend of Poinsett Bridge in Greenville, South Carolina. Built in 1820, Poinsett Bridge in Greenville is one of the older surviving bridges in the state. It was once part of a road that connected Charleston and Columbia to the mountain communities of North Carolina. It's now rumored to be haunted. Several legends surround Poinsett Bridge. One attributes the haunting to a lynched slave, while another claims the bridge sits atop an ancient Indian burial ground. A third legend claims a mason died during the span's construction and is now entombed inside. Conflicting legends aside, many people are convinced something haunts the bridge. One paranormal investigation team noted unexplained red and white lights in the vicinity of the bridge, while a photo revealed a mist of man-sized proportion. That same team recorded an EVP that sounded like a human heartbeat. Other creepy reported incidents include unexplained screams, eerie moans, and odd lights.
Red and white lights.
Yeah, just like an orb out there, like a orby type thing.
Bridges freak me out. Like
bridge is a lot more energy attached to them than you think.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. All right.
Also, I guess it's like if they're depending on the bridge, there's water under them.
I know.
If it's like a highway though, it's like there's a road underneath. But if it's like
you don't know
going
what's
over
underneath,
water, that probably amplifies whatever.
Yeah,
that's
true. All right, here's another one. Another light. Like lights are like one of the more common like ghost stories. Maybe because like the energy trapped or something.
Yeah.
But this is the legend of Jackson Borough Light in Hollywood, South Carolina.
Not far.
Not far. That's where we did the swim.
Yeah.
That's where we did the swim.
Nice.
Many people have claimed Parker's Ferry Road to be haunted, more so by the ghost of a preacher. He is said to carry a lantern while he is walking. The story has it that a little girl had wandered off a bit too far from her house. Considering this road was heavily wooded on both sides and it was getting darker by the minute, the family grew frantic. So the preacher set off into the night, lit a lantern to guide his way, and searched the road and the woods, and apparently got stuck by a passing train on his search for his daughter, which he never found. No one knows what has become of the daughter. So the train, just blocked his path. He crossed over the train tracks, train blocks his path, so he can't get back, right? To this day, it is said that the preacher still continues to search the road for her with the light of a swinging lantern, which sometimes is accompanied by the sound of a train whistle. People have said different stories, and some may even be fabricated up to the experience of it. Only you know what the experience will be like if you've happened to see it for yourself one day. Many people have mentioned seeing a yellow swinging light coming towards them while they are on that road. Others have parked their car and flickered their lights on and off a few times, then noticed a swinging light coming towards them that even turned an eerie red color. Some have even said that they have heard the train whistle and have seen a white mass walking, holding the lantern as it is swinging back and forth. Though once it got close enough to your car for you to turn your lights back on, it disappeared. Some have said if the lantern light touched your car, it would not turn back on for a bit. And someone even said to have seen a little girl, maybe 6 or 7, come out of the woods from the right and walk to the center of the road and then turn towards the car. Some have said that when the light got close to them, it would follow them for about a half mile. So those are some of the experiences.
Interesting.
But when I was researching this one, I found a lot of stories.
Oh, really?
Of people going out to the location and saying like different things happen.
So
not any of this stuff, but it was like they saw this light, they got freaked out, they left immediately. Some people went out to the location, they got too scared, they left.
So it's kind of like the Summerville Light,
similar to the Summerville
Light, or the Strawberry Chapel.
Right. Yeah. But there's
so
a lot
this
of
one,
people.
if you have more corroborations, then it probably it just for me, puts more truth to it than tale.
Yeah, definitely.
Or a couple people saying they saw some shit, when you got a bunch of accounts, it's possibly could be true.
All right, next up we have the legend of the Legare Tomb in Edisto, South Carolina. which was investigated by Erin
Mm-hmm.
and her husband Jake, because Jake wants to debunk it.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes you can't, though.
He's a big debunker.
Yeah.
Oh, Erin, do you want to tell us your experience?
Yeah, I will after the story.
Well, basically, the story goes, there was a family, again, back in the day when there were sicknesses. The young daughter got sick. They thought she was dead, so they put her in the family tomb, sealed it with a rock, with like the entrance, because it's like an above-ground tomb, sealed it. Several years later, someone else got sick and died, so they had to open the tomb to put the newly passed away family member in there, and they found the young girl's bones at the front of the tomb. So it's like she had gotten up, moved to the front of the tomb to where the door was, and there were scratch marks on the inside of the tomb door, which is like stone, right?
Yeah.
And so then they realized, holy shit, we buried her alive. She might have been like in a low life state, like unconscious or something. We thought she was dead. We put her in there. She was actually alive, right? And so ever since that realization came upon them, whenever they close the tomb, it always is reopened by unknown factors. And every time that someone tries to close the tomb, it always gets reopened, reopened. So as the years went by, what they tried to do was bolt the tomb door closed. Well, one night the bolts were ripped out of the wall, like out of a stone wall, and the door was thrown to the side, so they just left it like that.
What?
And you can go there, and you can see the door open on the tomb.
Really?
Yeah, they got it walled off. So Erin's actually been there. So, but they say that you can, at nighttime, that you can hear screams, that you can hear cryptic type noises, right, at nighttime if you're there. So, Erin, what happened?
Well, they put the door in the woods, and you can see the door in the woods.
Oh, it's in the woods?
Yeah, so it's like this marble that is like broken.
Mm.
But I went, and I was curious. But you do see her tomb in there, but then you also see her son.
Mm.
So it kind of debunks
her son.
Yeah, it kind of debunks the story a little bit.
Are you sure it's her son?
Yeah, because there's her original name is actually like not Legare or Legare or however you pronounce it.
Are you sure? Maybe it's a different
from
person.
stories I looked up.
She was there.
Is this Jake making
well,
this
we found other stories, and this is the debunking story. So maybe it's not debunking. Maybe, you have two opposing things, but
maybe there's a mix-up in the stories.
There's a giant graveyard. There's actually, because we were researching the largest tomb or grave there. It's super tall, and then that's actually her brother. So she got married. Her last name changed to Legare. She had a kid. So it's like kind of conflicting that she got sick when she was a kid, right?
Maybe she was older when she got sick.
Maybe. But so just some conflicting things there that kind of go along with debunking.
So is it debunked or is it
if
unknown?
you ask, I mean, I guess it's unknown, right? Only one way to find out.
But the door is in the woods.
The door's in the woods.
How to get there? Some entity had to throw it.
That or they
Super
just
strong.
Moved it.
They just moved it because it was.
Oh, come on!
But you can straight up just walk in there. You can walk in
you
the
can
Mausoleum.
walk? I don't know if I do that.
I wouldn't either. But people,
you didn't walk in?
No.
Talk about
respecting.
You went all the way there?
I was like standing at the doorway. But I wasn't going to go in there.
At the doorway?
Yeah, I wasn't going to go in. Jake wanted to go in. I was like, no, absolutely not.
So nothing happened when you were there?
No.
They went in the middle of the day, though.
We did go in the middle of the day. There was no one there. But all
still
of those...
freaky. It can still be freaky during the daytime.
I mean, it was.
Yeah, eerie.
Or creepy.
There was eeriness to it. And there's like I said, though, like they separate the graveyard by like a bunch of tombs and gravestones, and then they'll fence it off. So it's like family by family. But I think all those families are related in some way. Like the Legares were moved over to the Mausoleum, but then her immediate family was like over in that like fenced area. So definitely interesting. But she had a whole husband and son.
Interesting.
That's it. Yeah, it's probably like I was saying earlier, one person hears it, then
probably a mix-up of stories.
Yeah.
Did you go up to the door though? Could you go to the door and see the scratch marks?
I didn't go up to the door.
Oh, that's what
dude. No.
That is what would debunk it
Guys,
or not.
like I'm kind of with Ben. I'm a little bit of a pansy when it comes to it. Like,
I mean, you went there. I would not.
I mean,
I
it's
would
middle
not
of the
go
day.
there, though.
yeah, but it doesn't matter. Paranormal Activity debunked that
right.
ghost activity is only at night.
But did Jake Go up to the door
Yeah, that is
himself.
true.
He's trying to actively debunk things. So like that's how you would debunk it. Go to the
I
door
told
and
him-
visual see if there's scratch marks or not.
No, because at the end of the day, I was like, look, he's a non-believer, but I believe. And so I was just asking him to respect the fact that, things can still attach to him and then affect us. So I was like, look, it ain't worth it.
Yeah. Holy shit.
I mean, just on Ghost Adventures, the show alone, there's stuff that happens to them during the daytime too.
Yeah.
They went to a hotel in Charleston and got activity during the day.
Yeah.
I mean, so I mean, it's not limited to nighttime.
Yeah.
It's just because of like the setting, spooky,
Mm-hmm.
dark, whatever. But
Yeah.
being at a graveyard, period,
At night.
is gonna be a weird,
At it at nighttime,
weird,
you're like, oh, God.
just and it just where
there's-
you're at. It's
and there's
just,
woods around
it's
it.
Death.
And it's old, and all the fences are like wrought iron.
Edisto Island itself is a little eerie,
Yeah.
if we're being honest.
Mm-hmm.
Old,
Old, small.
run down.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
All right, next up we have the legend of Rice Hope Plantation in Monk's Corner. Mistress Chicken is the name of this plantation's resident ghost. You remember the other story
Chicken.
with the last name Chicken? I'm thinking that the name Chicken was a predominant family name in that area.
Interesting.
She rocks in a rocking chair inside the heron room. It is said that she exists to comfort a child who once lived at this plantation and was once tied to a tombstone by a nasty schoolmaster as punishment, which that was the girl, that was the Strawberry
Strawberry.
Chapel.
Was that a
Catherine
thing?
Catherine Chicken was the girl that got tied to a tombstone, so I think they might be related, these two. Rice Hope Plantation. Because if you look up this one, there's a lot of online chatter about people that have experienced this situation. The schoolmaster forgot about the little girl until after dark. While not hurt, she was emotionally scarred by the incident. Mistress Chicken, believed to be a spirit of the child's grandmother or nanny, was a comfort to the child. So basically, all you do is you see this entity, Mistress Chicken, trying to comfort a child.
Interesting.
Interesting. All right, we got a couple more here. All right, next up is the legend of Old Nazareth Cemetery in Panopolis, South Carolina. Just a short distance from Wampie Plantation lies the historic cemetery. According to the legend, a woman by the name of Annie was married to an abusive man. One day, in a fit of rage, he cut off Annie's head. Could you imagine? Your
It's
spouse
not just one swipe, by the way.
Yeah, it's not one swipe. I
Ugh.
mean, yeah, cutting a head off would suck if you were the one getting your head
Yeah,
cut off.
seriously, bro.
Or if you were the one doing it. Her husband was charged with murder, and Annie was buried in the cemetery, minus her head. At night, at night, headless Annie is said to roam the graveyard in search of her missing body part. My team, this is the Palmetto State Paranormal talking again. My team has done numerous investigations at this location. High EMF spikes were recorded towards the back right of the cemetery, which appears to be the older section with graves dating back to late 1700s. On one occasion, one of our investigators felt a hard push when he was asking if the spirits wanted us to leave. The same night, we captured a clear EVP of a woman crying and moaning.
Ugh.
That's crazy. But it might not be that lady because, like EVPs, you can pick up other entities, obviously anything around. Interesting. All right. I got a couple other universities in South Carolina I just thought were interesting. First of all, we got the legend of the University of South Carolina. Gamecocks, Columbia. According to Columbia locals, the University of South Carolina is haunted by many different spirits, some of which have been formally identified over the years. For example, the library area is allegedly haunted by the ghost of former university president James McKissick. It is said that you think that's funny? It is said that the former president wanders around the library at night, and students believe that if the lights are on late at night, it is an indication that he is there going through the books. President McKissick is actually buried on campus just a few feet from the library, which could explain why he is lingering there.
Dang. Yeah, he might be there.
Mm-hmm.
I can see that. I mean, if the grave is that close, to me, it's just like, it's totally possible.
Yeah, definitely. There's a couple other alleged entities that are wandering around USC as well. Winthrop.
Why are you looking at me like that?
Winthrop. The Legend of Winthrop University.
Oh, God.
All right. Tillman Hall. Central to activities at Winthrop University is Tillman Hall, formerly called Main Building. Over the years, it has housed offices, classrooms, a swimming pool, museum, art gallery, the library, and a gymnasium. After Tillman Science Building was raised in 1962, Main Building was renamed Tillman Administration Hall in honor of Benjamin Tillman, South Carolina governor, U.S. senator, and the driving force behind state support for Winthrop. Tillman, a staunch supporter of agricultural populism, also was a avowed white supremacist. I didn't even realize that till I just read it right now. What the hell? Are you serious, dude? This dude is like a worship person. He's a white supremacist. And they still have this hall named after him?
Probably.
That's insane.
That would be crazy to me. Anyway,
just the shock he
that shocked me. That shocked me that they're still like calling it his name. Anyway, there are rumors of numerous spirits who are still dwelling at Tillman Hall. The fourth floor is especially active. Footsteps and evil laughing have been reported, as well as shadow figures and what some say to be a demonic entity that has gotten physical more than a few times. Hair pulling, slapping, and pushing.
Really?
Which, if this guy was a white supremacist,
that's like more
Bad
poltergeist, right? Because that's negative energy feeding off of that. Ugh.
yeah, if this guy was a white supremacist, there's probably definitely some demonic stuff going on, demonic entities.
Just evil.
Yeah, evil around him.
Evil intent.
So that would explain why maybe there's one there.
That's crazy.
Dang. It would be interesting to speak with a former Winthrop University resident or administrator to know if they felt anything or had any experiences.
It just makes me think Ghost Adventures should do like
a
season where they just go to old colleges and do
or state by state.
Or I feel like a lot of the colleges would block that because that would probably lose. Like they don't want any bad. You know what I mean?
That's true. That's true.
That'd be awesome though if they did that.
Let's see. The Legend of the Babcock Asylum. This is in Columbia.
Babcock.
The building caught fire in 2018. Hazardous conditions in and around the site. The location is off limits to the public. But basically, this was the South Carolina Lunatic Asylum. Began in 1828. 1885, the building had more patients coming in. Anyway, over time, obviously the mentally ill are being treated there. As for spirits, several accounts of hauntings have been reported. Reports of voices, crying, screaming, and laughter when clearly the halls and buildings were empty. A few past workers have also claimed to have been physically touched, one reporting to have been bitten by an unseen entity. This property's past makes this location a hot spot for all kinds of activity, and no doubt the location will always be active. The Babcock building was scheduled to be renovated into apartment buildings for Columbia's planned Bull Street District, but those plans came to a halt December 13th, 2018, when the building's roof caught fire and other complications.
I wonder how that happened.
Dang, they're stopping them.
That's crazy.
I mean, that's an environment.
I want to know where that's at, actually. Drive by.
Say
Next
Columbia,
time I'm in
right?
Columbia.
Yeah, that's an environment that you have to wonder becomes like a portal. We talk about portals, right? In Ghost Adventures. Like, just kind of being like a hot spot area.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, a lunatic asylum, you got all kinds of crazy energy, you know, which entities will grasp onto people like that. I'm also thinking back to the demonic entity at Winthrop. I'm thinking like white supremacist. I'm thinking like they do the rituals and stuff. I'm thinking portals, you know?
Something going on.
That's weird, dude. I want to talk to someone from Winthrop now, figure out what's going on.
Winthrop.
I also want to know why they still call it Tillman Hall and this dude's a damn white supremacist.
Well, I'm sure if you called him out, you know.
Yeah. Well, we're calling him out right now.
Yeah, hey, Winthrop, we're coming for you.
Not for long.
All right, last one. The Legend of Successionville Hollows on James Island.
Oh, shoot.
In the dark early morning of June 6, 1862, Union forces launched an attack against the earthwork fort called Tower Battery on James Island. Although the Union troops outnumbered their Confederate foes 3-1, a fierce 3-hour battle ensued, ending with the Federal retreat from the marsh and forested area. The sun rose over the bloody scene to reveal more than 150 bodies and nearly 900 casualties hobbling into the surrounding saltwater creeks. Beyond the annual reenactments, the Battle of Secessionville can still be heard today. A paranormal replay exists in the muddy creeks and oak leaf hollows of the remnants of hastily constructed Confederate earthworks. James Island residents and visitors to the South Carolina Department of Natural Resources managed site have reported early morning sounds. The metallic clicks of cannon fire resonate around the M-shaped tower battery at Fort Lamar. Eerie thunks of something entering the creeks, and heavy splashes along the marshy banks as if injured soldiers are still fleeing the bloody scene. So basically trapped energy from the battle.
Oh, definitely.
It seems like. I'm also sure that on James Island, although it didn't say in this story, you know, if you're at the right place, right time, you could probably see some energies.
Yeah, you could probably see some soldiers
moving around.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Interesting.
So anyway.
Very interesting stories.
South Carolina, rich in history.
Yeah.
There's more stories that we didn't cover.
There's a lot of stories we didn't cover. There's some I didn't even put into this build out here.
Yeah.
There's just so many stories, you know.
Well, maybe we'll have to do a Pack Talk podcast vlog.
Oh, you want to actually do investigations?
Erin wants to.
I
She was
do.
saying on break that she wants to.
You want to do investigations?
I don't know about investigations.
That's what
No,
you're
we'll
saying.
do
You want to do a
investigations.
vlog. That's what you're saying.
Well, I think number one starts with the pharmacy on Main Street.
No, I don't want to go in there.
I want to
That
go
place
in there.
just looks weird from the outside.
I mean,
It
yeah.
does look creepy.
But at the same time, like, that's a good, it's local, right? Like, I go by
Maybe
it.
you get tapped on the shoulder.
Yeah. I mean, get some ice cream sitting there.
Ice cream? I mean, you got to do it for the investigation.
Make yourself a long-term customer.
I
Talk
want
to
to go
some
in there and
people,
ask to the people. Ask them if they've had experiences.
Oh, they'll
then-
probably go off.
and then we can acquire equipment slowly but surely.
Here
We got
go.
all the
Get Ben.
stuff we need.
There we go.
I'm serious. We got everything. We got the voice recorders.
You're
we got,
already
we got the cameras.
prepared.
All we need is the EV or the EVP reader.
Yeah.
Oh,
Because there's other
yeah.
areas I'm definitely interested in downtown. Washington Square. That's where there was a murderer, right? A husband and wife murderer. I forget her name, but Ghost Adventures covered this too when they
Really?
did Blackwater Inn. Yeah. Basically saying, like, they would have guests and poison them. And
What?
yeah, she was
No.
like, the husband and wife were like the first serial killers of like the earliest
I don't remember
serial
that.
killers.
That's
and
crazy.
she was hung in Washington Square. That's where they used to do their hangings from the prison right across the street.
Holy cow.
And before she was hung, she basically told everyone, announced to them, like, if you have anything for the devil, like any words
Oh,
for
I
him,
do
let me
remember
know.
that. I remember that
I'm
now.
about to go see him.
Yeah, I remember that.
And
Holy
before
shit.
she
Yeah,
would
that's
like
freaky.
allow herself to be hung, she jumped and like
That's right. She jumped
Yeah,
off before
yeah.
they could actually execute
And-
the hang. She just hung herself.
right, but like those were like public executions, so it was like a total fair around like going on around her. So there would be thousands of people in Washington Square,
Yeah.
and when she jumped, she like obviously didn't realize that there's a proper way like of what happens when you're hung.
Yeah, so she was hanging there
just
for a while.
She was
Yeah.
being strangled for like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's rough. I'd be interested to do some
That's
investigations.
that's some bad energy.
Yeah,
You want the bad energy.
I don't know.
I'd rather go hang out with the nice ghost.
Well, maybe to
I'd rather
start.
go find the hitchhiker, bro.
I mean,
That dude doesn't sound like he's a bad dude. He sounds like he just
or
needs
the
a ride.
hound.
Or the yeah. Hey, the hound sounds interesting, low
Yeah,
key.
definitely. I remember I wanted to see like one of the pirate ghosts that they say walk around downtown, like at the Battery and Waterfront Park, and so I'd go down there when I was like a teenager and just sit there
Oh, really?
and try to see one. I'd be like, I want to see one. You know,
mean,
never saw one.
walking around downtown is just a
It would have to be on a full moon.
Yeah. Well, that's
Or
like
tonight.
certain things.
Friday the 13th.
It's got to be like between certain times. They say that things are most active, like
The
between
witching hour.
midnight and 3 or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
You got to plan for that.
I mean, y'all go to bed at 9, so.
Yeah, that'd be hard for me. That'd be hard for honestly.
I mean, I do want to do a ghost tour just to do it though.
Well, we did go to Scarowinds. You know how the theme parks will have their haunted nights.
Come on now.
You won't catch me at one of those.
You know what I bet is scary? Cypress Gardens does a Halloween.
Do they really?
Yeah.
I bet you there's stuff going on there too, because
definitely.
that's where Swamp Fox was. Francis Marion. He was in the movie The Patriot. You know that movie?
Yeah.
That literally was, they recorded it there at Cypress Gardens.
Yeah,
There's definitely some residual energy.
You also know the Swamp Fox was in the old exchange building, Provost Dungeon.
Oh yeah,
he was there. He jumped out of the window at night.
They held him there.
Right.
Yeah.
They were trying to keep everyone there. He jumped out the window, broke his leg or something. Hopped on a horse, rode back to his army.
The dude's crazy.
Dude's crazy.
He broke his legs and he still broke his ankles.
Yeah, I don't forget the details, but they were trying to have a meeting there. They're like, we need all the generals to come here. And so he left his army in the swamp because he's the Swamp Fox. He left his army in the swamplands, like up here, 4-hole swamp where we're at.
Yeah.
That's where he was like leaving his people, Cypress Gardens. He had regiments all over the place. He goes down there. They're having the meeting. They're trying to keep him there. He's like, I'm done. He jumps out of a window to get away, like from the second story.
Yeah.
Breaks his leg.
Oh.
This dude's crazy.
Gets back to his horse, jumps on his horse, rides back to his army.
Yeah.
And he was the only one that got, I think there was like something going on there.
I think they were all about to get captured.
Yeah, they were about to get captured or like killed. But he jumped out. He got away before that happened. That was crazy.
I mean, true patriot. A real patriot.
Yeah. Legit. Real patriot.
I mean, that dude's motivated.
Also,
that dude's motivated.
Also, I've been by his gravesite because it's way out in the middle of nowhere. Like way.
Francis Marion Woods?
Way out there.
Really?
And I train dogs like in the country. And so going out to their place, they have like a huge horse farm. Going out to their horse farm, you pass his gravesite. I was like, I'm going to go check this out. Drove down there. Pretty crazy.
Is it a big grave or is it just
big gravesite? I mean, it's a legit huge gravesite, marked up and all that.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm sure if you go to his gravesite at nighttime,
you might see him.
Might see some activities.
Hobbling with his back leg.
Oh shoot.
Anyway, so let us know. Do you believe in the paranormal?
Yes.
What stories do you think are going on? Also, maybe in the future we have to do stories of other locations. We did South Carolina today, part of South Carolina. There's a lot of paranormal activities around the country. Crazy. And the world.
Yeah.
Crazy. Anyway, Pack Talk Podcast is sponsored by Canine Revolution Dog Training. So if you do need dog training, you can let us know. If you want to talk about paranormal activities when we're there, we're more than happy to discuss with you.
We'll extend the appointment.
Like I discussed with the people I was working with down on King Street, right? And their house is actually on the tour routes. So if you're taking a tour in downtown Charleston, you're probably going to see their house. I'm not going to say what house it is, but you'll probably see it. All right. So we have a staff of over 25 people ready to serve you and your dog. We have all of our trainers have done podcasts, episodes on their stories, like Erin here, episode 91. My story was episode 67. Lexi's story was episode 52. Kevin's story, episode 51. Chris's story, episode 48. 48. Okay, so you can go to caninerevolutiondogtraining.com. Let us know if you guys need some help with dog training. Also, Canine Revolution Apparel. So you can go to Amazon. You can type in Canine Revolution Apparel. You can support yourself. You can support the podcast. You can get some dog shirts. You can get gym shirts. You can get guinea fowl shirts. You can get chicken shirts. You can get rain jacket shirts. You can get hoodies. You can get beanies. It's getting chilly. We have our new skull and crossbones shirt, which I think is cool. Erin doesn't.
No, I didn't say that.
She said pirates, really? Because it's like a pirate theme.
Yeah.
It's a Doberman skull with crossbones. it's like to wear to the gym.
Jake likes it.
She's like, this is lame.
He messaged us.
Oh, did he?
And said, this is badass.
Oh, yeah.
Well.
Did you get him one for
Turns
Christmas?
out his wife doesn't like it.
His wife
We
doesn't
can
like
have
it.
different opinions.
Erin was like, really? You went with a pirate theme? I'm like, I'm a fan of pirates.
I mean, I get it.
She wanted Halloween themed shirts, and I said I told Ben and Kelly to work on it.
The heck, Ben?
I mean, I'm not I'm not running the apparel department. I can offer my opinions, but it's not at the top of my mind.
Come on now.
Anyway, if you want to support yourself, if you want to check out the shirt we're talking about, go to Canine Revolution Apparel on Amazon.
It's a nice shirt. It's a nice shirt.
Here we go.
Now we're
now
getting
it's a nice
Guys, come
the
on
pity.
Yesterday wasn't a nice shirt.
No, that's not what I
Yesterday,
said. You're
it's not a
putting
nice
words in my
Now we're
mouth.
getting the pity.
It does look like it could be ghosts.
Also, Origin USA. This is where you're going to support yourself. You're going to support America because everything Origin USA is American sourced and American made. And you're going to find jeans, Delta 68s.
Black.
Right? Black Delta 68s for your formal occasions.
Chad's dress pants, black jeans.
Those are my dress. I had to go to like a dress up event. I wore my black Delta 68s.
Wow.
That was good to go.
Wow.
No factor.
Seriously?
They also got the heavier jeans. So if you're like in a super cold area like Antarctica, you know, you can get the heavy jeans. They got belts. They got gis. They got boots. They got everything you need. So go to originusa.com. Use code SINGER101. That gets you 10% off of your order. Also supports the podcast. Okay? Good to go.
Yeah.
What's up?
We needed to contact Origin.
About what?
A female department.
Yeah, we do need female cuts.
Come on now.
It's on my list to call.
Really? I didn't know they didn't have one.
I got to call Jocko.
Yeah.
Call Jocko.
Just
call
Get him on the horn.
All right, next up we got Jocko Fuel, which is your American-sourced and your American-made supplements. Good for you. So today we had the Jocko Go Energy Drink Blue Raspberry. What's the debrief on this? What do y'all think?
Banging.
This is my new favorite.
It's good?
Yeah.
It's your new favorite?
Yeah.
They also got the new can designs out, the new graphics.
I
You
like
notice
that. I
that?
do
The
like the new
graphics?
design.
The new graphics?
I like the new design.
Doesn't matter.
Catches my eye.
Yeah. So those are good. You can get the milk, which is your protein powder. They got the protein powder milk. They got the ready-to-drink milk. RTD.
And seasonal pumpkin
Seasonal pumpkin.
out right now. Fall.
Did you get it?
Not yet.
I got it last
I've seen
year,
it on
too.
my Instagram. They're advertising.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They got
And
ads.
They're hitting it hard. They got the milk cookies. I was waiting for them to come out with a pumpkin like cookie. I was going to get that. They got creatine. They got greens. They got Cold War. You know, it's fall. Cold War supports your immune system. There's a lot of people that are walking around. You know, they got the cough. They got the sickness trying to take over them. You get on the Cold War, that helps boost your immune system.
You need to give it to your guineas.
And just like we talked about today, I do have some sick guineas. Just like we were talking about today, back in the day, were some of these hauntings we discussed. They came up because of the inability to fight sickness.
They didn't have Cold War.
They didn't have Cold War.
Really?
If we could go back in time and give them Cold War, they'd be good to go.
They wouldn't be ghosts.
That's
They wouldn't
what
be
they
ghosts
needed.
anymore. That's
Really?
what they needed.
Modern medicine.
That's what they needed. So you can go to jockofuel.com. You can use promo code SINGER101. That gets you 10% off. Also supports the podcast. But basically anything supplement-wise they have it for you.
Yeah.
Made in America, sourced in America. All right. Also, let's not forget our Canine Revolution dog training partners in the South Carolina Low Country. They're going to support you. If you go to them, you mention you're with Canine Revolution Dog Training. DT Mobile Detailing for your cars, your RVs, your boats. Sharpshooter Pressure Wash. Technically, Chris Tipton's brother. Technically.
If you book
Trainer
him,
Chris's brother.
talk to him about the paranormal.
If you book him, yeah, because I talked to him about his experiences when he was here this week, pressure washing.
Yeah, your porch
Yeah,
looks
you
good.
talk to him after he pressure washes.
Yeah, it was after
You know,
his pressure
yeah.
wash.
Let him do his job
Let him do his
first.
job.
Let him do his job first. I was like, hey, ain't going to bother you. I was like, but let me know about this.
Yeah.
You know? So anyway, Sharpshooter Pressure Wash. I mean, he gets it done. Because here's the deal. I could go buy a pressure washer. I could maintain it. I could put gas in it, oil in it. I could get all the components. I could pressure wash myself.
You've already lost me.
Then it takes time. You know, then you got to get the special attachment for your porch and all that.
Too
Or
much.
I could just call Josh. He's in. He's out in 30 minutes for my porch. I'm done.
Yeah.
Yep.
My house, couple hours, good to go. I ain't got to worry about it.
Chicken coop.
Chicken coop,
Looks
good
great.
to go. Right? No factors. All right, we're also partners with All Is Well Summerville. They were also on episode 14. That's your holistic dog food, dog supplies. Also, Carolina Premier Home Inspections, Carolina Premier Pest Control, owned by Bob, episode 74, which I got some details this past week. Some people didn't like Bob's episode. They were like, too much information.
Too much.
That's what they were saying. That's what
Too much.
That's what I was
too
saying.
much information.
That's what I was saying. Too
Whoa.
much.
Sorry
really?
First
for-
of all,
They're like, It was
Bob's
too
great.
too much going
You got a
on.
little droopy mic going on.
They were like, too much going on. I'll just say it was Chris and Erin.
Whoa.
They were
Too
the
much
ones that-
information.
they were
What
the-
are you not happy about?
I loved the home information, and then we go down the the insect route, and the like.
You need to know your pests.
I was just like,
Grossed
we need to
out?
break this up.
You need to know your
You need to
pests.
break it out. So when he was talking about termites and stuff, you weren't happy about that. You need to know your enemy.
How are you going to battle your enemy if you don't
Yeah.
know your enemy?
I mean, right now my landlord battles the
Well,
enemy.
you're not going to be under a landlord forever.
No, I know. But
So you
then-
better know your
But
enemy.
that's when I just call Bob. That's
mean,
what
yeah,
I
you-
learned from
yeah, you
that
can do
early
that.
on.
You can definitely do that.
Yeah. And I get the chickens, and I get the guineas, and
That's
I get
true.
the ducks, and they take care of
That's true.
most external.
Sorry for over preparing you.
Yeah.
Whoa.
So you could
Oh,
listen to the
wasn't
podcast,
just
or
me.
you could just call Bob
I mean,
and just
that's-
let him do his thing.
That's what I
know?
gathered. Hey, can you inspect this house? Hey, just hit it with the, insect protectant while you're here. It passed? Good.
So that's Bob, episode 74. He'll take care of you.
Yeah.
Whether or not you want the details of his
Sometimes you don't want to talk to him. Let him work.
Yeah.
Just let him work, boys.
All right, then we got the Velasquez Company. That's Antonio.
Mm-hmm.
He'll come by. He'll paint up your house. He'll paint up your porch. He'll do your drywall repair. He'll put your fences together, all that. Okay, Black Force MMA, also one of our partners, episode 71 with Dwight Decker. All right, Cane Bay Chiropractic, episode 7 with Doc Anthony. He'll get your back good to go.
Mm-hmm.
He'll get your nerves good to go, right? He'll take care of you. Also, Lanzera Defense Solutions. That's going to be your CWP, Concealed Weapons Permit. That's going to be your defensive pistol tactics. That's episode 58 with Doc Anthony. So basically, we're in crisis right now. Israel under attack. China going after the Philippines. Russia going after Ukraine. China going after Taiwan. Who knows what's going to happen? Who knows? So you need to be prepared. So you need to train. You need to train yourself with your defensive pistol strategies through Lanzera Defense Solutions and your mixed martial arts through Black Force MMA. Just throwing it out there. All right, next up, Aquafusion IV Hydration, which we have a big event coming up. We're putting on Pack Talk Podcast. It's a big event. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Tomorrow?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
What?
And,
Tomorrow.
yeah, the Ruck and Gun.
Oh.
Anyway, I had a guy that's doing it.
Crazy.
He read the
Eye-rolling.
briefing for it. It's basically, we'll let you watch the YouTube video if you're a listener. Watch the YouTube video so you know what the situation is when we post it. But there was a guy that's participating tomorrow, Jeff Prindle. He was on the podcast as well. And he's like, hey, we might need to be having the Aquafusion IV people come out to help us out after we're done with this thing because this is going to be a smoke show. That's
Did
what
you
he told
book
me.
'em?
We didn't book him.
How long is the run?
You'll have to watch the YouTube video.
Like 6 miles.
Ben is manning the Polaris.
I'm gonna be.
Ben's
I don't know.
manning the
I don't know. I haven't
Polaris.
really come up with a complete game plan yet
With
to
medical-
not run the contestants over.
He's
I
having,
might need a driver.
All I'm thinking of is Ben at the training videos. How you had it so stable, and then there
Oh,
was a
yeah.
point where everyone was taking off, and you just see him ditch the stability, and he's
you're
just
talking about
Because
the
I had to run.
team
yeah.
training. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was great.
So those are our partners. Don't forget, visit Pack Talk Podcast on YouTube. We got some extra content on there. We got extra content coming.
It's
From this weekend.
It's cut. I just have to add some graphics.
Are you talking about the last one?
Yeah.
It's
cut.
That's been months in the making.
It's cut.
Which one's that?
Just have to. It's graphics. It's not dog training related.
Yeah, that's Pack Talk Podcast.
Yeah, I know.
Extra stuff on the Pack Talk
and
Podcast.
then be on the lookout
channel.
for the investigation vlogs.
Yes.
Yeah,
In the future.
You're gonna wimp out.
Whoa.
All right. If you want me to be a guest speaker at your event, you can email me, chadsinger@caninerevolutiondogtraining.com. If you're a business owner or a dog trainer or both, if you need a coach or consultant, you can email me at chadsinger@caninerevolutiondogtraining.com. We'd be honored to help you guys out. Also, thank you to our military contractors. You know what I'm talking about? Thank you to our first responders. Thank you to our teachers. Erin, former teacher. She knows.
Salute.
Listen to her podcast. You can hear about some of the things that teachers go through. So thank you guys for all you do. Canine Revolution Dog Training, we're proud to offer you discounts on dog training services and anything we can help you with. So thank you for all you do. Please let us know if we can serve you. Anything I'm forgetting? I mean, we want to make sure we got all the bases covered.
Have a happy Halloween.
Have a happy Halloween. Hopefully you enjoyed the legends from today.
Just reflect on these legends.
Reflect on the
As
legends.
your Halloween.
Check them out if you dare.
What is the
yeah, if you did.
wrapping it up here? What was the biggest legend in your brain after going through all those?
I like the dog one. I like the hitchhiker one. The dog one, I like that. I like that story.
You say one's more like local to here. Those are the ones that stick in my brain because I'm like check it out, places. Look into it.
Yeah, you know the places.
Yeah, but when you sent me the original Edisto Beach one, that made my skin crawl.
Yeah,
the Edisto Beach one with the gray
with
man
the story.
No, with the
Legare
potentially put in the
the
tomb
cemetery.
and she wasn't dead. Ugh, imagine. So.
That's crazy. I mean, I've been to the Summerville Light when I was younger. Been to Strawberry Chapel. I used to go to these places and try to like get some activities.
Provoke.
You know,
your own investigation.
So those are crazy. But also that story that guy told me in the Navy.
That's a weird one.
That has always stuck with me.
That's a weird one.
That and when I was at the Citadel. Remember that story I told you guys when I was at the Citadel? I saw that thing come through. I was like, shit.
Yeah. That'll stick with you for your life.
Yeah, definitely. And the King Street house that I trained, I've been in that house.
Is it weird?
Then that one day I was like, hey, have you guys ever had any activity? They just went off on me. I'm like, oh, shit.
But like before you knew, was it weird vibes when you went in there?
Well, it's like an old house. So it like doesn't have a lot of natural light. So you go in there, it's dark. You know, you got like that eerie feeling being in there.
Yeah.
And it's like historic King Street. So it's like, you know, you just get that vibe. And it's got like one of those big wrought iron gates on the front.
Oh, yeah.
You know? And you have to like push it open. Like once you close the gate, you're in. You know, you're like, oh shit. So anyway, everyone have a happy Halloween. Enjoy your holiday. Be safe out there. Remember, whether or not you're a believer in the paranormal, if you go to any locations, please be respectful of all historic sites. Never be disrespectful. And don't mess around with anything dark. Let's just say that.
Don't pee on any graves.
Don't pee on any graves, for sure. And until next time, this is Back Talk Podcast. Out.